Okay, so good morning. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, welcome to the fifth edition of the online conference Circular Economy, Make It Happen. I'm Beatriz, and I'm SWYP's Communication Program Coordinator, and I will be the host for today's event. We have a very rich program featuring excellent presentations from young researchers on the topic of circular economy. And I would like to inform you that this event is being recorded for evaluation purposes and to share our collective work in the future through Smart Waste Portugal. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Luísa Magalhães, the Executive Director of Smart Waste Portugal. Luísa, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Luísa Magalhães. I'm the Executive Director of Smart Waste Portugal. For me, it's a great pleasure to welcome you all to the fifth edition of the Smart Waste Young Professional Online Conference, Circular Economy, Make It Happen. First, I would like to thank to Francisco Ferreira and all the coordination team of SWYP that made this event possible. Your hard work and enthusiasm have been essential in bringing the conference to life. I would like also to express my gratitude to our speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to today's discussion. Inês Soares, the last year edition winner of the conference from Center of Biotechnology of Portuguese Catholic University, Teresa Silva from CITEV, Maria João Rodrigues from Cidades pelo Clima, Gabriel Medeiros from ISEG, Dalila Sepúlveda from Guimarães Municipality, and Raul Fangueiro from Fibernamics. Congratulations also to all the 8 researchers that will present their work and make this conference happen. For those who may not be familiar with Smart Waste Portugal, let me provide a brief introduction. Smart Waste Portugal Association was founded in 2015 at a landmark moment for global sustainability, marked by the launch of the European Action Plan for Circular Economy, the Paris Agreement, and 2030 Agenda. Since then, the environmental and socio-economic challenges have made clear the urgency of shifting away from the linear model in light of the biodiversity loss, resource crisis, climate change, and the vulnerabilities exposed by the pandemic and geopolitical tensions. 10 years after, on Smart Waste Portugal, we continue to believe that the addressing many of these challenges relies on the transition to a more circular and regenerative economy built on collaboration. Smart Waste Portugal, as I said, is a non-profit association whose mission is to enhance the circular economy in various value chains through education, innovation, collaboration, and creation of new businesses. As an association, we are committed to work on behalf of its members, our members, and continuing to foster partnerships and creation of more circular business opportunities. We promote cooperation, transparency, and commitment, prioritizing innovation, efficiency, and excellence as we work to inspire and influence Portuguese entities to transform their practices, promoting a more circular economy for a regenerative future. Today, in Smart Waste Portugal, we are proud to count on more than 155 members who are the driving force accelerating the circular transition in Portugal, from industry to waste management, and from universities and research centers to consultancy and associations, forming a diverse and multidisciplinary network. As a collaboration is really important for us, and we coordinate some platforms such as the Portuguese Plastic Pact and Vidro Mais platform. We are bringing together the value chain to jointly work toward the circularity of each material in Portugal. We facilitate also some working groups, promote dialogue and synergies, and establish collaboration protocols with various entities that align with our mission. We want also to innovate, and in this spirit, we are promoting the My Waste platform, which we consider an essential tool to support Portuguese companies in achieving their circularity goals. It is a digital marketplace that functions as a B2B network for resource sharing and valorization, enabling companies to exchange waste, byproducts, and materials that can gain a new life. Based on digitalization model, My Waste aims to reduce waste and prevent materials from being sent to landfill. By enabling a real-time information exchange, it facilitates contact between organizations from different sectors, shortening decision-making time and fostering new valorization and eco-innovation solutions. We also at Smart Waste Portugal participate in different funding projects and consortia, always promoting matchmaking between companies and academia. We prepare and follow position papers, recommendations, and legislative opinions, simulating a direct link with the government. Alongside collaboration and innovation, we also focus on education and awareness, because knowledge is the foundation that allows us to understand the present and build a better future. At Smart Waste Portugal, we also share good practices and promote dissemination of knowledge with the goal of empowering Portuguese business and civil society on the most pressing topics on the circularity and sustainability agenda. Because of our work in the field of circular economy, Smart Waste Portugal, together with Secolab, collaborative laboratory towards circular economy, we were recognized as Portugal's official circular economy cluster, named the Cluster Portuguese Circularity. Under this recognition and looking ahead to 2030, we aim to contribute to increasing the Portugal circularity rate, which is still 2008 2.8%. I cannot forget, of course, our proudest achievement that was the creation of Smart Waste Young Professionals, launched in 2020. SWYP was designed to bring together young professionals working on innovative solutions for a circular economy. It is with great pride that we witness SWYP continuing to develop initiatives like this one, which is fundamental for advancing scientific knowledge, promoting dissemination, and motivating other young professionals. These initiatives also play an important role in inspiring industries and companies, opening doors for collaboration and development of new projects and partnerships. I conclude by reaffirming that Smart Waste Portugal's commitment to continue working as a catalyst for circularity with the Portuguese business ecosystem. I wish all the speakers the best of luck and encourage you to continue the incredible work you are doing. And a good luck for SWYP to continue your work and increase. You know that you can count on Smart Waste Portugal because we are available to support you in all you need. So thank you, and I wish you all a successful and inspiring conference.
Thank you very much, Luisa, for opening this session and for your valuable intervention. And now for the next keynote speaker, I have the great pleasure of introducing Inês Soares. Inês Soares won last year's edition for the Circular Economy Make It Happen conference. She's a young professional in the nutritional sciences, food innovation, and biotechnology. She was part of the team that won the National Ecotrophilia competition with the functional snack Snackatami. As a research fellow at the Centro de Biotecnologia e Química Avançada at Universidade Católica, within the Via Food Agenda, she works on developing innovative and sustainable food products that bridge scientific research and market potential. She also works as a nutritionist at Hospital de Lousada and is completing her master in biotechnology and innovation. So now let's welcome Inês. Inês, hi Inês.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you all hear me well? I guess you can hear me. Can you just give me permission to share my screen? I'm not able to.
Yes. Is it working now?
Let me try. No, it says that it's not active.
Okay. Francis, can you help you here?
Yes, just a second.
I will send a solicitation. I guess it's more okay.
I accept.
Yes, it's okay, it's working.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you all see my screen? My presentation, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. First, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers for their kind invitation and for the remarkable quality, commitment, and passion with which they continue to address such critical issues as the circular economy. It is a privilege to join you here today, and I would like to extend my best wishes to all the participants. So, to help introduce our focus on bio-based circularity and waste valorization, my presentation will address strengthening circular nutritional systems, development and characterization of a freeze-dried snack based on broccoli stalk powder. I'd like to begin with a paradox that increasingly defines our global food landscape. Despite living in an era of unprecedented technological and agricultural capacity, we face a world where millions still experience food insecurity, while simultaneously billions live with overweight, obesity, and diet-related diseases. Recent analyses indicate that the combination of a poor diet equality and food insecurity can increase mortality by a risk of 4 to 8-fold. This duality illustrates a profound system failure. Food availability has improved, but nutritional adequacy has not. Even if we see regions where food insecurity has decreased since 2021, we continue to observe rising rates of metabolic disorders. This demonstrates that adequate caloric intake does not equate nutrition intake. So, in other words, ending hunger is not sufficient. We must ensure nutritional quality and diversity. So, alongside malnutrition, we see that food waste remains one of the most severe inefficiencies of the current food system. Each year, the world discards approximately 1.05 billion tons of edible food. The food system accounts for nearly 30% of global greenhouse gas emission, representing one of the largest contributors to the climate change. When food is wasted, we do not only lose edible biomass, we lose also soil, we lose water, fertilizers, energy, labor, and nutrition rooted in this production. So this brings us to the fundamental concept of today's discussion. Traditional linear food systems follow a produce, consume, discard model. This model is inherently extractive, resource-intensive, and environmentally costly. On the other hand, circular nutritional systems aim to extend material life cycles, recover nutrients at multiple stages, reduce waste and environmental pressure, also reinforcing food and nutritional security. So these circular nutritional systems help to close production loops, recover nutrition to enhance food security, and also sustainability. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation estimates that circularity in food systems could reduce global waste up to 50% by 2030. While we discussed waste in terms of mass, we can also discuss nutrient loss as an equal severe problem. Up to 40% of micronutrients are lost during harvesting, processing, distribution, and also consumption. Each year, these losses correspond to the micronutrient requirements of hundreds of millions of people. So, to advance planetary and human health, we must not only reduce waste, we must recover nutrient value in the chain. For this is not only important the range of technology that also allows us to valorize underutilized streams. We see fermentation, for example, that enhances nutritional availability and generates bioactive compounds, bioconversion, including insect and microbial processing, transforming low-value biomass into high-quality ingredients, and precision extraction isolates fiber, protein, phytochemicals for use in foods and also supplements. So collectively, these methods can transform what was once a waste product into a nutritional relevant input. There is already growing evidence of successful circular strategies in nutritional science. We see, for example, fruit and vegetable peel fibers integrated in bakery products, also algae biomass that provides sustainable omega-3 fatty acids without relying on declining marine stocks, and also dairy whey and bruised spent grain are increasingly used for protein-rich powder and bioactive peptide production. So EPCC highlights that, to finalize, that circularity is a critical issue for ensuring that global production for about 10 billion people can be nourished with planetary boundaries. So if we accept these circular systems, we can be ensuring the nurturing of population. So against this global backdrop, I would like to narrow the lens to a single example, the broccoli plants, and more specifically its stalk. This vegetable can teach us a lot about circular nutrition. Approximately 47% of broccoli plants, primarily the stalk, is discarded. Despite being commonly discarded, this vegetable possesses considerable potential to deliver health and environmental benefits, such as health benefits because they are rich in fiber and bioactive compounds that promotes health. They also represent a valuable resource for sustainable food production and circular economy strategies, and when properly processed, they can be incorporated into functional foods. So the aim of our project was to integrate the broccoli stalk into a closed-loop nutritional system, demonstrating that vegetable byproducts can be transformed into stable nutritional foods. The main objective of this study was to develop and characterize a freeze-dried snack containing 32% of broccoli stalk in the powder format. We examined the nutritional composition, fiber, phytochemical properties, against others. So we collected the broccoli stalks, cut them, and freeze-dried them, ultimately transforming them into a fine powder. After incorporating this powder into the remaining ingredients, the mixture was freeze-dried once again and substantially modulated into small spherical units. Here you can see the final product. This is a spherical snack. And we analyzed, as I said before, the nutritional composition, phytochemical properties, microbial evaluation, among others. Going to the results. Nutritional profile. We see that the snack is high in protein and fiber, also meeting the EU nutritional claims. It's also a low moisture, low fat, moderate energy snack. Regarding total and insoluble fiber content, we see that the developed snack has a high total dietary fiber, mainly in insoluble fiber, because this is consistent with the structural features of broccoli stalk, dominated by the cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. And this high insoluble fraction suggests their potential colonic fermentation benefits, warranting future studies using in vitro fermentation models. Through all storage points, counts for mesophiles, yeasts, molds, and Enterobacteriaceae remain below detectable limits. This confirms an excellent microbial stability attributed to the low water activity, as we are going to see after, and freeze-dry metrics. So regarding physical-chemical properties, we see the water activity increased slightly from 0.21 to 0.32 levels, still very far below thresholds that support microbial growth, and pH decreased from 6.39 to 5.90, remaining within a stable acid range typical for vegetable-rich matrices. No safety concerns emerge from these shifts. Regarding texture profile analysis, this shows no statistical significant changes in either hardness or crispness, indicating a preserved texture quality, and color variation occurred primarily between months 0 and 1 and 2, with minimal changes after that. By month 4, we see an overall color difference was noticeable, but without meaningful structure or sensory degradation. Regarding total phenolic content, we see a slight decrease, but this reduction was not also statistical significance. This stability indicates that the freeze-dry matrix protects phenolic compounds effectively during the 4-month period storage. And regarding biological activities, we conducted the antioxidant and anti-diabetic activity. Regarding the antioxidant activity, we see that they showed no significant changes over the 4 months. And anti-diabetic potential. We see that with alpha glucosidase inhibition, the anti-diabetic activity remains stable, indicating that the product retains their anti-diabetic potential based on in vitro assays. We also had conducted a preliminary sensory analysis, a very small one, I know, but we conducted with 12 participants and revealed a very polarized acceptance. We see that the scores are very polarized. Participants also characterize the snack flavor and aroma as very intense and very cheesy, fermented. So we have to do a further sensory investigation, including structured consumer tests and evaluations by a trained descriptive panel. So the conclusions of our study, we see that we develop a nutrient-dense, high-fiber, high-protein snack using an undervalued vegetable byproduct. The snack demonstrated an excellent microbiology, phytochemical, and functional stability during the 4 months storage. And our findings illustrates how vegetable byproducts, particularly broccoli, of course, can be integrated into circular nutritional systems, reducing waste while also improving nutritional value. So this work reinforces a simple but powerful idea that the path to a more sustainable, resilient, and healthier food system may begin with what we are discarding now. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all a productive and insightful conference.
Thank you, Ines. Thank you for excellent presentation. Very well. Okay, so now let's welcome our first session on the topic bio-based circularity and waste valorization. I would like to remind you that this is the first of 2 sessions for which the speakers were selected through an abstract competition. Awards will be given to the top 3 works of the conference. So before we continue, I want to encourage you to feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself and post comments or questions for the speakers. And please make sure to indicate whom your message is addressed to. And now I would like to invite Mariana Pedrosa to moderate this session. Hi, Mariana. Mariana is a member of Smart Waste Young Professionals. So let's welcome Mariana. Mariana.
Hi, hello. Thank you, Beatrice, for introduction me to the conference. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first section for today's section, bio-based circularity and waste valorization. In this section, we will explore innovative approach that turn biological research and waste streams into valuable circular solutions. And our speakers will present research ranging from biosurfactants and algae biorefinery to microalgae bioenergy and circularity in textiles. So we will now begin our series of presentation, each lasting around 10 minutes, followed by a brief Q&A section. And I kindly ask to all the presenters to respect this allocated time. And I would also like to mention again that you can submit your question through the chat for our presenters. And so our first presenter is João Rainha, who holds a PhD in chemical and biological engineering. He is currently a research fellow at Center of Biological and Engineering, working on BEACH project. And he will share his work on a bioconversion of agro-industrial wastes into biosurfactant for textile application with the BEACH project. So, João, the floor is yours.
So can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So good morning. My name is João Rainha, and I'm a researcher at SEB at University of Minho. And today I will be presenting our work within the BIT project, focusing on the bioconversion of agro-industrial wastes into biosurfactants for textile applications. So, what's BIT? BIT is a project designed to introduce a bioeconomy approach into the Portuguese textile sector. A bioeconomy is an economic model centered on the sustainable use of renewable resource to create innovative and environmentally responsible solutions. Within this framework, BIT aims to develop new bio-based textile materials and products, implement cleaner and more efficient technologies, also promote recycling of textile materials, and also strengthen the collaboration between companies, research institutes, and also with the society. So, to achieve these goals, BIT brings together a consortium of more than 50 entities. The project is led by CITEB and includes research institutes, small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as large industrial companies. The main objective of this consortium is to ensure the effective knowledge transfer from the research institutions that generate new scientific insights to the Portuguese companies that will apply these innovations in real industrial contexts. As mentioned earlier, I'm conducting my research within BIT project at the University of Minho at Centro de Engenharia Biológica. Our initiative in this project is to research and develop biotechnological process capable of producing ingredients with added value for the textile industry. And currently at SEB, we have three main lines of research under the BIT initiative. Each one focus on producing different type of a value-added product. The first one focus on producing enzymatic cocktails for textile applications using solid-state fermentation. The second one focus on producing functional molecules from agro-industrial residues using ohmic heating, and the third one, which involves me and my research group called Symbiomics, focus on producing biosurfactants through microbial fermentation. And this will be the main topic of my presentation today. So, surfactants are chemicals that can reduce the surface tension between two phases. They typically consist in a hydrophilic part, which can be a sugar or a protein, and the hydrophobic part that is usually a lipid. This unique combination gives surfactants key properties such as emulsification and foaming, and because of these properties, surfactants are among the most important commercial chemicals around the world. Their significance is reflected in their wide range of applications. They are used in detergents, cosmetics, agrochemicals, pharmaceutics, and also in the textile industry in washing, dyeing, and finishing process. However, most of the surfactants today are produced from petroleum-based raw materials. This makes their production polluting, and these synthetic surfactants are often non-biodegradable, posing environmental risks when discarded, mainly for water effluents. Despite these drawbacks, their low production costs makes them commercially attractive. On the other hand, biosurfactants are surfactants produced by microorganisms. They possess the same functional properties as synthetic surfactants, but with the key advantage of being biodegradable. However, when we compare to synthetic surfactants, their production costs are higher, which limits their widespread use in industries such as the textile. Therefore, the goal of this work was to develop an economical, efficient bioprocess for biosurfactant production, guided by the principles of circular economy. For this purpose, we use the Pseudomonas aeruginosa strain that was previously isolated by our research group from oil samples in another project, and this strain is capable of producing extracellular rhamnolipids. Rhamnolipids are glycolipids composed by a rhamnose sugar head linked to a fatty acid tail, which provides the molecule with surfactant properties. These properties make rhamnolipids promising candidates to replace chemical surfactants in the textile sector. To develop a bioprocess guided by a circular economy principles, we first looked for wastes that could support the efficient rhamnolipid production. Typically, rhamnolipid production requires lipids, which can be directly metabolized by the bacteria to provide the fatty acid moiety for the rhamnolipid tail. These lipids can also shift the metabolism of Pseudomonas toward the rhamnolipid synthesis and also improve oxygen transfer and emulsification, effectively acting as rhamnolipid inducers of the rhamnolipid production. Waste cooking oils are generated by the repeat eating of cooking oils that are rich in free fatty acids that are produced from the triglyceride hydrolysis. Their disposal often causes ecological problems, making them an underutilized resource. Converting these waste cooking oils into biosurfactants aligns perfectly with the BEAT project's objectives and contributes to a circular economy by transforming a problematic waste into a valuable product. European, we collected waste cooking oil from a local oil bin, and after a decantation process to remove solid particles, we characterized the oil using gas chromatography. As expected, the waste cooking oil contained a significant amount of free fatty acids, with linoleic acid being the most predominant and an unsaturated fraction of 83%. Next, we tested whether the waste cooking oil could act as an inducer for rhamnolipid synthesis. To do this, we prepared a pre-culture of the strain and we used it to inoculate flasks containing different concentrations of waste cooking oil in a minimal salt media with 10 grams per liter of glucose. We then measured the surface tension of the culture media before and after fermentation to evaluate whether rhamnolipids biosurfactants have been producing through the reduction on surface tension of the media. A significant reduction was observed in the cultures containing 1% of waste cooking oil, demonstrating that our strain successfully produced rhamnolipids and that waste cooking oil can indeed act as an effect inducer for their synthesis. Next, we looked for alternative carbon sources to support the Pseudomonas growth, aiming to replace the conventional laboratory reagents, and we select two agro residues for testing, vine pruning and rice husk residues. Both are widely available in Portugal and are largely underutilized, making them promising candidates within a circular economy approach. To obtain fermentable extracts, we first ground the agro residues and we apply a pretreatment step. We tested two approaches, a water-based pretreatment at 120 degrees and an alkaline treatment using sodium hydroxide. After this pretreatment, we performed an enzymatic hydrolysis using cellulase and chalanes to obtain the fermentable sugars. The resulting extracts contain approximately 8 grams per liter of glucose and add a CN ratio of around 40, indicating a promising composition for supporting the rhamnolipid production. So next, we combined these extracts with 1% of waste cooking oil, and we tested the rhamnolipid production using the same approach as described earlier. Rhamnolipid synthesis was in fact achieved with all the extracts except for the thermally treated vine pruning extract. The foam formation in the flasks, as you can see here in a picture, also validated the production of biosurfactants because they form this foam during the fermentation, and the Orsinal assay showed that vine pruning extract alkali treated led to the highest rhamnolipid production among the tested residues. Next, we
Sorry
evaluated.
Johanna, you have 1 minute
Okay, I'll be quick.
to wrap up
Next,
and
we
sorry.
evaluated some key properties of the rhamnolipid-rich culture media, specifically their emulsification index and oil dispersion test, and both demonstrated good performing in these tests. Next, we selected the alkali-treated pine pruning extract for scale-up experiments. For this step, we used a 3-liter bioreactor operated at fixed steering and airflow, and the fermentation was carried out during 48 hours. After the fermentation, the culture media was collected, the cells were removed, and we purified the rhamnolipids using an affinity column. The purified mixture was then characterized by HPLC-MS. We identified several congeners with fatty acid chains ranging from C8 to C14 and a mono to the rhamnolipid ratio approximately of 1.7. Finally, we evaluated the application of this rhamnolipid mixture in the textile context, specifically for its softening properties. The mixture was applied to a cotton fabric using the Exhaustion method, and the softening effect was assessed by a trained sensory panel. The samples were scored from 1 to 9 based on their perceived softness. The results show that our rhamnolipid rich culture media performed similarly to the commercial synthetic softener, achieving a score of 7 out of 9, demonstrating their potential to be used as a textile softener. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm free to answer it. And if you want to learn more about BIT, you can check the social media or watch the BIT show that is available at RTP Play. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your interesting presentation. And we will now open the floor for question. Does anyone have any question in the chat? No, so I have one. What are the main challenges that you think is to scaling the biosurfactant production and from lab to our industry?
To the
So
reality.
from the
Okay.
yes, from the
Yeah, I think that that's the
waste.
main problem here when we work with agro residues is the heterogeneity of the sample. So you can get, for instance, 10 grams per liter of glucose from a batch of vine pruning, and you make another batch in the next day, and we have 5 grams per liter. So I think that the main problem here is the heterogeneity of the residues.
Okay, and the yield when you like fermentation on a lab when like you fermentate with like 30 milliliters of 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 a substrate, and when you transfer like to fermentate with 3 liters, do you see difference in the yield, like yield more or less?
Yeah,
Do
you
think
can
makes some
you can
difference?
you usually we saw difference because in the bioreactor we had more quick production because the airflow is different that you see in a flask. So you can also optimize this production by improving airflow, steering, and things like that. That will also improve the yields, and that you cannot do that in the flask because it's limited. And you cannot perform these optimizations.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you for your
I think
presentation.
that we have one question here
Yeah.
in the chat. Yeah. Okay, is the LCA study planned, Antonio? In BIT, we have a team dedicated for LSCA study, and they are now performing the LSA study with my results and other results from other initiatives.
Okay. Does anyone have more questions? Another one? Alexandre Lima is asking regarding the initial enzymatic process. Given the high cost of enzymes, is there any ongoing study on the possibility of immobilizing and reusing them?
Yeah, the problematic about enzymes is true because enzymes are expensive and make the process more expensive, and if the process is more expensive, the product is more expensive. What we are doing now is that we are trying to avoid the use of enzymes, and we are trying to just apply that pre-treatment to obtain the extracts. We are using, I can say that we are trying to use a pressurized reactor that basically can works with water at higher temperatures and pressures, and we can extract fermentable sugars from the residues using this approach and avoid the enzymes that are usually expensive.
Okay, so we thank you for the answer, but we now have to move on and finalize. So if someone has more questions, write on the chat and we will answer after all. So thank you again, and we will move on to our next speaker is Paulo Nova, who has a degree in nutritional science and a master in biotechnology. He's currently a PhD student at CBQF at Universidade Católica Portuguesa, and he will discuss enzyme-assisted biorefinery of brown algae for the production of high-value bioactive ingredients. So the stage is yours, and
are you seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, good morning to all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present my work from seaweed to bioactive ingredients, process optimization and functional characterization of Fucus vesiculosus enzyme-assisted hydrolysates. And so macroalgae are complex multicellular photosynthetic organisms, and typically we can classify these organisms into green algae, red algae, and brown algae. The Portuguese coast has a high biodiversity of marine algae species, so we really have here a huge potential to explore. And it's important to note that algae grow about 10 times faster than terrestrial plants and sources about 1/10 of the land to produce the same amount of biomass. And they can produce complex molecules with high nutritional and bioactive value using only sunlight and small amounts of water. 41.8 billion. This is the current value of the algae market. And this is a major industry dominated by applications in food, nutritional, pharmaceuticals, and biotechnological application. The Asia-Pacific region currently leads the market in both production and consumption, but all over the world, the potential of these organisms has been explored, and in 2032, it's projected that this market achieves a value of 70.3 billion. And as we know, the marine environments are extremely variable and include extreme conditions such as high salinity, nutrient variability, intense sunshine, among others. And these factors are stress-inducing factors, which lead to a physiological response or adaptation by macroalgae, and which leads to changes in gene expression and to the consequent production of metabolites of high nutritional and biological value. But this is at the same time a blessing and a curse, because considering the taxonomic variability of these organisms and the different environmental growing conditions that they are exposed, the bioactive potential is practically endless, but they are also very variable. So the chemical and biological characterization of these organisms is essential for the further nutritional, biotechnological, medical, and industrial applications. On this work, we explored the bioactive potential, the biomedical potential of these macroalgae that is very prevalent here in Portugal, Fucus vesiculosus, and our product was produced by Alga Plus, which is a company specialized in the production of seaweeds and food for cosmetic applications located in Aveiro. One of the biggest challenges of releasing these compounds with bioactivity and nutritional value is breaking macroalgae cell walls. And so we performed extractions, both solvent extractions with 100% ethanol, purified water, and 50-50 ethanol, purified water, and enzymatic extractions, both with isolated enzymes and enzymatic combinations, with these several outcomes as our studied responses, I would say. Extraction efficiency, total phenolic content, ORAC, soluble protein, reduced sugars, among others. And if we observe here these graphics, you can easily note that the enzymatic extractions, especially with the enzymatic combinations, achieved on the majority of the responses much higher values than the solvent extractions, especially if you consider the extraction with alkalase and cellulase, and on the case of Fucus vesiculosus here, on the extraction with cellulase for the several analyzed parameters, yield, total phenolic content, ORAC, and to reduced sugars. So for these macroalgae, enzymatic extraction proved to be the most efficient process compared to solvent extraction, and we observed a synergistic effect of enzymatic combinations for almost all analyzed parameters. So we totally take out the solvent extractions, and we proceed with our study only with the enzymatic extractions, selecting the two best enzymatic processes for these macroalgae. This data is already published if you want to take a look at the complete data. And so we selected these two these two extractions with cellulase and cellulase combined with alkalase, and performed a box-becken experimental design using as studied factors the enzyme percentage, temperature, and time, and evaluated responses, extraction efficiency, total phenolic content, total antioxidant capacity, and oxygen radical absorbance capacity. And as you can observe here, with our box-becken methodology, we are able to tell you which are the optimal conditions for each response in terms of temperature, time, and enzyme percentage, and as well as multiple responses. So we were able to produce an optimized hydrolysate for the combination of our four responses: yield, antioxidant capacity, phenolic content, and ORAC. And if you observe here the results for both extractions, you can conclude that the cellulase combined with alkalase obtains better results in comparison with cellulase standalone. So we further characterize the cellulase with alkalase combination extract. And as you can see, in terms of amino acid profile, we obtained 7 of the 8 essential amino acids. And our extract has also a considerable amount of glutamine, which is a very important amino acid for the nervous system. And in terms of peptide profile of this cellulase and alkylase combination extract, we obtain the majority of low molecular weight peptides, which are peptides with high bioavailability and bioactivity, such as antioxidant, antidiabetic, and antihypertensive activities. And so, concluding, enzymatic extraction significantly outperformed solvent extraction in efficiency and on the recovery of bioactive compounds. Enzymatic combinations demonstrated a synergistic effect, leading to higher yields and improved bioactive properties, and the established optimized protocol for focused glycolage hydrolysates provides a highly efficient and sustainable route for producing rich extracts for nutritional, medical, and industrial applications. I would like to finish my presentation with this beautiful myth about the creations of the coral reefs of the Red Sea, and stating that our ancestors said that this macroalgae had immense potential, and nowadays current science is confirming that our ancestors were right, and these seaweeds and microalgae too have an immense potential for medical and biotechnological applications. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Paulo, for your interesting presentation and about algae. And we now open again the floor for questions. So does anyone have any questions? On the chat, we have someone asking for their DOI from the article.
Okay. I will publish it. I will publish here on the chat.
Okay. Anyone? Questions? So I have one. Which market sector could you adopt this extracting? Or which sector or which area do you think it's the most the more potential? Like it's on the food section or in the medical field or the pharmaceutical, or which one do you think they are aimed to test this extractor for?
I think both. Our extracts are all food grades, so they are perfect for food applications. But our main goal, because my PhD is for algae extracts applications on pancreatic cancer, is the biomedical field. So we have both worlds. These extracts are being precisely developed for cancer applications. But since they are all developed with food grade enzymes, they can also be applied in food, in functional foods, novel foods. So they are perfect for both purposes, yes.
Oh, thank you. And do you have some essays on cancer cells?
Yes, we have. And it's impressive. But since that data is not yet published, I couldn't reveal much about it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have really interesting and surprising results, I would say.
Nice. So I thank you for the answer. Someone?
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have questions? No? So thank you again.
Thank you very much.
And we move on for the next presentation. And it will be our third presentation. Joana Oliveira, who has a bachelor and a master degree in bioengineering and from FELP, and currently she is a first-year PhD student in FELP, and we will speak about salinity, stress modulation in microalgae to enhance lipid accumulation for biodiesel production. So you may begin your presentation.
Hi, good morning. Let me just share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
The presentation? Okay. Okay. And you can see my pointer as well? Yeah? Okay, nice.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Joana Oliveira, and I'm here to present our work, which is about the impact of stepwise salinity stress adaptation in microalgae for biodiesel production. Firstly, I would like to thank the organization of the conference for allowing me to be here presenting our work. And now moving on to the presentation itself. First of all, I would like to point out that it's important for us to reduce the dependence on fossil fuels. So we want to have alternatives which are more sustainable. And biodiesel in the last few years have emerged as a potential substitute for oil. However, most of this biodiesel comes from food crops. And we do not want to compete with the food market because we have already high needs in this market. So we are seeking for alternatives for food crops to produce biodiesel. And microalgae has emerged as a promising alternative since they show fast growth rates and high versatility because they can grow in wastewater and seawater. They don't compete with the food production, as I said. They show high biomass productivity, high contents of lipids, which is appropriate for biodiesel production. And they also show high photosynthetic efficiency, and they can capture CO2, which is good for eliminating greenhouse gas emissions. But microalgae have a huge diversity of its biochemical composition, and we can have several factors that influences their growth and their composition. And for example, the light, the nutrients that we provide them as they grow will influence the amount of lipids, for example, that they have in their biomass. Salinity is also one of the factors that can influence the biochemical composition of microalgae. However, when we use freshwater microalgae, salinity causes a reduction in its growth. And so most of the literature has studied a two-stage cultivation in which the microalgae are first grown in optimal growth conditions in freshwater to grow, and then salt is added to the cultures to then change the biochemical composition to tailor for the wanted application. However, this still makes the first stage using fresh water, and we want to reduce the freshwater consumption when we are cultivating microalgae because we want because that the freshwater is a valuable resource and we want to reduce it as in if we can use seawater, for example, which is widely available, it will be much better for the environment. And so in our work, we developed an adaptation mechanism where the microalgae are exposed to salinity stress, increasing salinity, increasing concentrations, to the microalgae to be able to adapt to this salinity. And we also evaluated the biochemical composition to understand their potential for biodiesel production. So to do so, we cultivated microalgae in these environmental conditions, and we cultivated in different salinity levels, so different sodium chloride concentrations. So for example, in the first week, we cultivated without salt for 7 days. And after these 7 days, we took part of the biomass and we collected for biochemical analysis. So we evaluated the proteins, the carbohydrates, the pigments, and the fatty acids composition. And we took the rest of the biomass and re-inoculated in the next salinity concentration. And we let it grow for another 2 weeks, and then we repeated the process for the next salinity concentration, and so and so. It's important to point out that in the middle of this 14 days period, we added some nutrients to the culture to maintain it in nutrient replenished conditions to that not be a limitation in microalgae growth. Daily, we also took samples of the biomass and the culture medium to understand the evolution of biomass concentration and nutrient consumption to evaluate the state of our microalgae. And the results are here presented. First of all, focusing on the growth, in this picture you can see the evolution of biomass concentration along time in the different concentrations of salt. And we can see that there is a much steeper increase in biomass concentration with no salt addition. So that is where you have your highest biomass productivity. But focusing on the salt-stressed cultures, you can see that at the maximum 600 millimolar of salt, there's almost negligible growth. But at 300 millimolars of salt, there is still high biomass productivity. Moving on to the nutrient consumption of the biomass. So in the picture, you can see the nitrate removal rate and the phosphate removal rate by the cultures in the different salinities. And you can see that in general, there is a decrease in the ability of the microalgae to remove the nutrients for the medium, which corroborates the decrease in growth, because if they are growing less, they're also consuming less nutrients. Now, moving on to what is most important, the biochemical composition of the biomass. So we saw that as you increase the concentration of salt, you can see here the differences in pigment contents in the first picture, and you can see that there is pigment degradation in salt-stressed cultures, which is usually associated with inhibition of photosynthesis, which is also associated with the reduction of the growth of the microalgae. Moving on to the contents of carbohydrates here in purple and the proteins in yellow, you can also see that there is a decrease in protein and carbohydrate contents in salt-stressed cultures. This tells us because if you want to use biomass for food applications, you usually want to have high protein content and high pigment content, which is usually associated with high antioxidant activity. And so the biomass that it is exposed to salt stress is not appropriate for nutraceutical applications. Usually you would use biomass not exposed to salinity stress. However, there is reports in the literature that say that there is an increase of lipid accumulation under salinity stress. And this is what happened in our case as well. You can see in this table the changes of the fatty acid composition in the different salinity stress, and focusing on the total fatty acid compositions, you can see that it goes from around 10% in the cultures with no salt, and goes until around 30% in this with full strength saline water. And moving on to the relative percentage of the different fatty acids types, so saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fatty acids. You can see that there is a decrease in polyunsaturated fatty acids and an increase in monounsaturated fatty acids when you have salinity stress. And also, if you want to develop a product, you have to think about its productivity. So we know that we have an increase in the fatty acid content. However, as I told you previously, there is a decrease in growth when you apply salinity stress. So we evaluated the productivity of the total fatty acids here in blue, and you can see that the maximum fatty acid productivity is at 300 millimolar of salt, which makes this biomass appropriate for biodiesel production. Therefore, I can conclude that increasing the salt concentrations compromises the applications of Chlorella vulgaris biomass for food and nutraceutical applications because of its decrease in proteins, carbohydrates, and pigments. However, when you do the salinity stress to the biomass, you have an increase in fatty acid productivity and 300 millimolar of salt. And this biomass also has high prevalence of MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acids, and a fatty acid profile enriched in C16 and C18 fatty acids, which is appropriate for biodiesel production. This shows us that this gradual acclimation to modern salinity levels can be exploited for biodiesel applications, and also in simultaneous reduce the consumption of fresh water for the production of microalgae, which is good for the environment. So just to finish, I would like to thank the funding that was behind the project and also my teammates that helped me to develop this work. Thank you very much. I am now available for the questions.
And thank you, Joanna, for your presentation. It was really nice and interesting. So we now open a time in the floor for questions, and we already have one on the chat. So Antonio is asking, he's saying that it's a more general question regarding the biodiesel, and with the ongoing electrification of transportation and the increase in production of e-fuels obtained from captured CO2 and green hydrogen, it still makes sense production biodiesel from microalgae. Probably it makes sense only in a biorefinery context.
Yes, that is true. It would be interesting to exploit the application in a biorefinery context, when, for example, you can extract some compounds for other areas that are more high value, and then you take the remaining biomass and you extract the lipids for this energetic application. But I would also like to point out that while that is true, there are some sectors which is hard to do this transition to electrification. For example, in industries, it's hard to do this transition, and so you will still need some fuel, and other studies would evaluate if biodiesel is appropriate to do this for those applications. But I do think that we still have some need to use biodiesel, and but yes, it's true that in a biorefinery context it does make more sense economically, because biodiesel is more a low value product, and so if you can divide your biomass into multiple purposes, you are increasing the economical benefits of producing it.
So thank you for your answer. Someone have more questions for Ivana? Do you think do you think to produce microalgae from stress situation could produce unwanted compounds that could delay the production of biodiesel? Like, I don't know, phenolic compounds or some, I don't know, who could delay the process? Because in the stress situation, we usually produce other compounds that could affect like a fermentation or something else. Do you think this could affect in the end this biodiesel production?
Yeah, I think that maybe for one side, yes, some other secondary metabolites that maybe we did not evaluate when we evaluated this composition can be produced. But then when you are producing the biodiesel, you have to make first a lipid extraction step where you're going to separate the lipids from the biomass. So that alone is maybe separating some of those compounds that can be produced. And also one of the main problems when I worked before with biodiesel production for microalgae is the co-extraction of the pigments. And you can see that the pigments in the salinity stress in this example that I showed in my presentation are its concentration decreases significantly when you are exposing to salinity stress. And so by reducing the chlorophyll content, that also increases the purity of your extract when you are going to produce the biodiesel. So I think that is important, but also, yes, maybe there is some secondary metabolites that we did not evaluate.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
So now we are going to our final presenter from this section, Duarte Braz, who holds a bachelor in fashion design from University of Beira Interior. Currently is a master student in textile engineering at Universidade do Minho, and he will discuss how mechanical recycling and eco-design strategies can support circular textile productions. So thank you, Duarte, and please start when you're ready.
Hello, good morning. So, good morning. My name is Duarte Braz, and I'm here on behalf of 2C2T, the Center of Textile Science and Technology at the University of. It's a pleasure to present our work titled Transforming Post-Industrial Textiles Cutting Waste into Circular Garments, a Replicable Eco-Design and Recycling Strategy. This study builds on developments from the Lusitano project, which focus on new sustainable and circular materials for textiles industry. Briefly, our work was to demonstrate that post-industrial textiles cutting waste, typically discarded, can be mechanically recycled and reintroduced into production chain to create new garments designed for disassembly and circularity. Global textiles production keeps growing, reaching 124 million tons in 2023 and expected to hit 160 million by 2030. About 2/3 of all fibers are synthetic, mainly polyester, which heavily depends on renewable resources and generates large amounts of waste. This growth highlights the urgent need to move from a linear model to a circular and a more sustainable textiles system. In this project, we focus on post-industrial and pre-consumer textiles waste, like cutting scraps and defective fabrics that are normally discarded. We applied eco-design principles to minimize waste through zero waste patterns, upcycling, and efficient material use. The goal was to extend the product's life cycle, creating garments people want to keep longer and reducing premature disposal. In the end, eco-design enables easier material separation and reuse, reinforcing the logic of a closed-loop textile system. Here, we move from design to the material level, where circularity truly begins. Traditional textiles production follows a linear model, take, use, and discard. We replace that with a circular approach, make, use, and recycle, guided by eco-design principles. One challenge in mechanical recycling is that fibers become shorter and weaker during the vibration. To address this, we developed fiber optimization strategies, blending natural, recycled, and regenerator fibers. In our case, we used organic cotton and recycled polyester, achieving a balance between sustainability and performance. This project aligns with the new European Union Regulation 1781 on eco-design for sustainable products, which promotes principles like waste minimization, zero waste design, efficient material use, and upcycling strategies. It also emphasizes durability and extended product life, encouraging the reduction of premature disposal. In our case, we focus on polyester cotton blends, one of the most common and challenging fiber combination in the textile industry. This study shows that these blends can be recycled mechanically without need to separate fibers first. The waste supplied by our industrial partner was analyzed by using STIR at ATR, PGA, and electronic microscopy. Results confirm the presence of polyester and cotton, a very common but challenging blend to recycle, since traditional recycling methods require prior separation. Our goal was to prove the mechanical recycling can be successfully applied to these blends without separation. The mechanical recycling process used a Mazdam lab equipped with a feed belt, main drum, upper rollers, in the air suction system. We carried out several optimization tests, adjusting parameters such as upper drum speed, air section, and the number of passage. To enhance fiber cohesion, a softening agent was applied before shredding. The best results were obtained at 0.5, 980, 4002 passes with softener, producing fibers with an average length of 17.2 millimeters, the highest among all trials. These recycled fibers were blending with organic cotton, 70-30, and spun into yarns that showed very good performance in terms of tenacity and hardness. From these yarns, we produced 3 woven fabrics with different densities and textures, all suitable for apparel manufacturing. The resulting capsule collection embodies eco-design principles in practice. It combines environmental responsibility, aesthetic value, and functional versatility. Each garment was designed to be durable, gender neutral, and recyclable, with a simplified material composition and easy disassembly feature. In our some examples of photos from the photo shoot with Model 1, this model follows a straight cut and relaxed silhouette designed for comfort and adaptability. It features a piping finish which increases resistance and overall durability. The focus here was on functional and morphological adaptation, ensuring that the garment fits different body types. At the same time, we prioritize easy disassembly and recyclability, allowing materials to be separated quickly at the end of the product's life cycle. The second model was designed with longevity and timeless in mind. It featured a robust construction and classic aesthetic, ensuring that it remained relevant and functional over time. The garments are made from compatible materials following a single material elegance, while single material approach to make recycling easier. With its simple cut and formal design, this model combines versatility and elegance while maintaining simplicity in disassembly and the recyclability essential for circular fashion. The third model featured a boxy cut that prioritized comfort and functionality. It was designed using abstract principles, ensuring compatibility with recycling process and simplified disassembly. From the t-shirt and the pants, use a functional and ergonomic cuts, providing freedom of movement and durability. This model represents simplified circularity garments that are easy to recycle, adaptable to different uses, and designed to stay longer in circulation. To conclude, our results showed that eco-design, mechanical recycling, and fiber optimization together form a practical and truly sustainable path toward circularity in the textile industry. Still, some key challenges remain, particularly in scaling up this process, ensuring technical standardization, and improving waste separation and sorting systems. Achieving circularity is not only about technology, it also requires strategy, intent, rethinking production models, in collaboration across the entire value chain. What here posing is a replicable and realistic methodology, something that can be applied under real industrial conditions to accelerate this transition. In the end, eco-design acts as the bridge, connecting textile waste to a sustainable, regenerative and future-ready fashion system. And thank you for our attention. Check out our work through the QR code and send me questions or information, doubts at the email. Thank you.
Thank you, Duarte, for your fashion and interesting presentation. So, does anyone have any questions? So I have one. No, we have one question on the chat. So, what technical barriers still limits the incorporation of higher fractions of the recycled fibers?
Principally for the quality of yarns and the fabrics, the mechanical tests and mechanical parameters. Not allow the quality of the quantity of the percent of the recycled fibers improve on yarns and fabrics. The principal
barrier, the principal.
Yes, is that point.
Okay, thank you. And we have a complementation of the question. No, it's not a complementation. Another question. What condition must be placed to take this approach, like to scale up? What do you think have to be changed, like to scale up the recycled fibers, to apply these recycled fibers?
It will be difficult to obtain good products from materials recycled by mechanical recycling. In the future, chemical recycling is more way to create recycled products more with more qualities and more properties.
Okay, I got it. So thank you so much for your presentation and for your answer. And I want to thank all the speakers for the contributions and to all participants for joining us in these sections. And we hope the presentation inspire new perspectives and collaboration in circular economy. And now we have a break, and we finish the sections, and we have a break, and we will come back at 10:40, and we have 10 minutes, 10 minutes break. And please write the question. We have some questions on the chat. And following the break, we have our second keynote speaker, Teresa Silva, who will tell us about our circular innovation and low carbon transition in the textile industry. So thank you, everyone. See you soon. So, welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone took a coffee or a cup of tea to keep on our conference. So, our next keynote speaker is Teresa Silva. Teresa Silva is a researcher and project manager at the Textile and Clothing Technology Center, CITEV, where she develops and oversees innovation initiative and analyzes data, coordinates deliverables, and communicates scientific results. Holding a PhD in biodiversity, genetics, and evolution from University of Porto. She has extensive experience in scientific research, technical content development, and process management across sectors such as biotechnology, consulting, and environmental technologies. Her career is characterized by international collaboration and numerous scientific publications. And additionally, she has been involved in scientific outreach and training initiatives in both academic and business settings. So, welcome again, Teresa, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mariana, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa. Mariana already said I'm from CITEV, the Technological Center for Textile and Clothing Industries of Portugal. It's a pleasure to join the Smart Waste Young Professionals Network and this conference. Thank you for the invitation. And in the next minutes, I will share how we are driving circular innovation in textiles from research and development all the way to industrial implementation. I will use the BIT project, as it was already mentioned here in this morning. I will use the BIT project as a concrete example. Moving forward, just to CITEV is the main technological center for the textile and clothing industries in Portugal. We are based in Famalicão. We combine testing, certification, research and development, and engineering, sustainability and circular economy, digitalization, and high-level training. We work very close to companies, from fashion to sports, defense, workwear, mobility, and health. We operate not only in Portugal, but also in Brazil, Tunisia, South America, Pakistan, and India. This proximity to industry is crucial when we speak about circularity. We are not only producing knowledge, we are helping companies to make it work in real products and real processes. So the textile and clothing industry is facing a perfect storm. In one hand, is one of the most globalized and competitive value chains. On the other hand,
sorry, Teresa. If you have a presentation,
I have. I was sorry,
So,
really sorry.
So
I thought I was sharing it because so sorry, Mariana, sorry for that.
No problem.
So I already, I can go, I can move forward
yes.
just a little bit, just to
Now
show
we see it.
It was the beginning, the presentation, then just a minute. Then the CITEV presentation, the service that we provide, the market, the markets where we are involved. Sorry, and I was here. So we know that the textile and clothing industry are storming these both sectors. So if we know that we are in globalized and competitive value chains, on the other hand, it's highly resource intensive. And according to the World Economic Forum, only 8 global supply chains are responsible for more than 50 of global emissions, and fashion, including textiles, is among the most polluting. I can just this. So at the same time, we see a huge volume of textile waste and underused garments with low recycling rates and very linear take, make, dispose model. So this is exactly where circular economy in textiles can deliver a real impact. Then, so in Europe, the policy and regulatory context is changing very quickly, as we know. We have the EU strategy for sustainable and circular textiles, the eco-design for sustainable products regulation, new rules on green claims and due diligence, and very importantly, the digital product passport. So for companies, this means that design for circularity, durability, repairability, recycled content, and transparency along the value chain will be mandatory. So circular textiles are not just nice to have or a niche. They are becoming licensed to operate in the European market. So the opportunities for our sectors. At CITEV, we started working on bio-based solutions for textiles several years ago. When we talk about bioeconomy in this sector, we are essentially talking about two things. First, using renewable bio-based resources in a smarter way. And second, closing loops for both biomass and textile through circular strategies. And there's when I want to focus here in these minutes. So our approach is very applied. We work from lab scale formulations and processes to prototypes and pilot lines, and then support companies to validate this and to introduce in the market. So the BIT project is probably the most ambitious example of this strategy so far. Here we are. You already saw this, but the project is an integrated bioeconomy project under the Portuguese Recovery and Resilience Plan, specifically dedicated to the textile and clothing industry. It mobilized more than 100 million euros of investment, with around 71 million in public funding, bringing together about 60 partners for these 4 years. The project is organized in 4 pillars and 9 work packages, and includes 58 R&D projects covering everything from new fibers and coatings to recycling, technology, metrics, and consumer engagement. BIT is the case study of how to move from scientific and technological concepts to industrial implementation of circular solutions. The project is structured around 4 pillars, as I already said. The first pillar is biomaterials, where we focus on new fibers, biocomposites, and bio-based formulations derived from forestry and agriculture resources. The second is circularity, where we address textile waste pre- and post-consumer, and also residues from other industries through sorting, pretreatments, and recycling technologies. The third pillar is sustainability, which covers eco-design, validation, metrics, carbon footprint, and digital tools such as the product passport. Finally, society, where we work on responsible consumption, clear labeling, and the promotion of responsible textiles from Portugal in international markets. Together, these pillars allow us to connect materials, processes, and people in an integrated circular approach. Just moving forward. Pillar 1 gathers 55 R&D projects focused on biomaterials. We work with forest cellulose, both pulp and waste streams, to develop man-made cellulosic fibers and non-wovens. We also develop alternative natural fibers from agriculture, byproducts such as banana leaves from Madeira, pineapple from Azores, hemp and flax from different Portuguese regions, and rice straw. In parallel, we design new cellulosic matrices for biocomposites, targeting technical textile applications. The idea is always the same, using regional bioresources and residues, add scientific and technological value, and make them fit for industrial textiles, processes, and performance requirements. You can see our prototypes for automotive sector, for example, with biocomposites. So how we are making textile and cross-industry waste re-enter the textile value chain? Here in pillar, the second pillar, the one that focuses on circularity and includes 14 R&D projects. One line of work is textile to textile circularity. We are designing solutions to sort and separate textile waste using near infrared technology and hyperspectral cameras to identify color and fiber composition. This pilot line is already installed in Lipor, around Porto. Perhaps everybody knows Lipor. We are able now to separate the textiles into 14 categories, and we are trying to increase these categories. We can imagine all the mixtures that we do in our textile products and the huge categories that we can get in the future. So we then also remove accessories and hard parts with robotic and AI-assisted systems. We apply pretreatments such as ozone technology to hygienize and remove color while preventing mechanical properties. This color removal technology is extremely useful for solving stock problems with brands, avoiding to produce new products from the beginning and just in this final and starting from this final process. Talking about recycling, the streams feed mechanical recycling, the one that we know more at the moment, and we are able to implement. But also we are focused on chemical recycling and developing the methodology for that, and also for the combination, the biochemical recycling routes, enabling the production of recycled fibers, yarns, and non-wovens, what that can be reintroduced into the textile value chain. A second line in this circularity pillar is the industrial symbiosis. We explore residues and byproducts from other industries, such as cork, leather, wood, or collagen-based materials, and convert them into inputs for textile applications. The third pillar is dedicated to sustainability in a very operational sense. We work on eco-design and eco-engineering, helping companies designing products for circularity and even for zero waste processes. We are developing new metrics. If we have new processes, we need new metrics to validate claims on bio-based content, recycled and recyclable fractions, as well as carbon footprint and broader environmental performance to meet the increasing demands for transparency and credibility, of course. And we are building digital tracking tools to support the creation of the digital product passport, enabling the trustworthy traceability across the supply chain. This pillar is absolutely critical. Without robust metrics and data, circular solutions remain a story. Yeah. So with them, they become verifiable and investable business case. The last pillar is about society and markets. Here we develop actions to inform consumers, promote good consumption behavior, encourage reuse and repair, and raise awareness about textile labeling. We also work with brands and other stakeholders across the value chain to co-create clear, simple, and trustable product information. At the same time, we promote the responsible textiles from Portugal concept. It's a concept, for example, through the iTextile Green Circle initiative in international markets. We connect what happens in labs and factories with what happens in people's lives and global value chains. To conclude, let me leave three short take-home messages. First, textile are a critical part of the circular economy agenda, both because of their environmental footprint and because they touch everyone's daily life. Second, moving from research and development to real circular implementation requires integrated agenda like VIT that combines biomaterials, circular processes, metrics, and digital tools in close collaboration with industry, always collaborating with industry. Third, nothing of this will work without people, without informed consumers, engaged brands, and cross-sector communities such as Smart Waste Young Professionals. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take your questions or continue the discussion afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa, for your great and interesting and fashion and textile presentation. And does everyone, we have some questions on the chat. Vanya Castro, yes, from Vanya. It's thank you for the presentation. Do you prefer to
I can answer Vanya and move forward. Vanya, it's a process. It's a long-term process because, of course, regarding economic reasons, everyone will, or the most of us will choose the cheapest product because we do a balance, and all the time we choose the thing that make us spend less money, of course. So this mindful only this mindset only will change with time. So it's a process. It's not for now. It's not for 10 years long. It will be for more than that, perhaps for our child and the other generations. But it's a matter of choose durability and quality regarding fast fashion. So Antonio. Yes, we are developing I don't know if I understand Antonio's question, but we CITEV was leading the digital product passport for textiles, and it will be mandatory in not in 26, but in the next year. And our DPP is very complete. We will need to simplify to go with to brands intentions, because it's hard to feed the DPP if we have complex data to communicate. So, but these metrics, all the metrics that we are developing are all compatible with this mandatory regulation. Yeah. Yeah, the textile waste is the problem, yes, and is the bottleneck at the moment, because we are all able to do alternative fabrics from bio-based. We already know how to do alternative fabrics from bio-based materials, but this is the bottleneck. The recycling and the closing the loop is the bottleneck at the moment, because we are developing and implementing at the moment the processes. So we are not recovering textile. We don't have contentors to do it. The municipalities don't know how to do it at the moment. They are questioning and trying to get the answers for now. So collecting, separating, removing all the parts and closing the loop. And if in one hand we need to reduce the waste, at the other hand we need to do what to do with the waste. So this is the struggling part, Vanya. And Antonio already repeated the question. Yeah, I think I answered all the questions in the chat. I don't know if Mariana.
Yeah, I think it was the same question from Antonio. Thank you so much for your presentation, for the answers. And now we have to move on, and it was a pleasure to have you here, and we will have now our second session on the topic circular engineering, materials, energy, and water. So I would like to invite Margarida Gonçalves, also a member of Smart Waste Young Professional, to moderate this second session. So,
thank you, Mariana. Good morning, everyone. So in this session, we will explore how engineering solutions can promote circularity across construction materials, energy systems, and water treatment, from alkali activated binders and fuel pathways to natural coagulants and biosorbents. So for the sessions, kind reminder, you have around 10 minutes to present. So let us begin. Our first presenter is Inês Brigas. She is a master's student in materials engineering at the University of Aveiro. Her research at CISECO, Aveiro Institute of Materials, focuses on developing sustainable materials from industrial byproducts for applications in ceramics and construction. She will now share her research on using rice husk ash in alkali-activated binders for sustainable construction. Inês, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me just, okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. As Margarida said, my name is Inês Brigas. I'm from the University of Aveiro, and I'm currently working with CISECO Aveiro Institute of Materials. So, let's build the future with rice husk ash. Okay, just a second. Today, I want to guide you through the problem, the opportunity, the experiments we conducted, and the conclusions we reached. But before diving into science, let me take you back to a story we all know, the three little pigs. You remember it. One pig builds a house of straw, another builds a house of sticks, and the last one builds a house of bricks. Then the wolf comes and blows down the houses. The first two collapse instantly. However, the pig that builds a house of bricks stays safe. This story has a simple message. If you want to build a stronger future, we must choose strong materials. Now, imagine this story in 2025. The wolf is waste, pollution, and lack of resources. And the pigs, just like our society, now face a world with limited materials, climate pressure, and growing amounts of waste. So, they must rethink everything and ask, can we build the next brick house using today's waste? This question is far from trivial. It is exactly at the heart of circular economy. In a circular model, material stays in the system longer. We reuse, repair, recycle, and recover. And waste becomes a resource, not a burden. This is the mindset we need for the future, especially our generation. Right now, the European Union has a circularity rate of 11.8%. But Portugal is at 2.8%. That means 97% of materials in Portugal are taken out of the cycle and never return. This is both a challenge and an opportunity, which brings us to a particular material with enormous potential, that is, rice as cash. Rice husk represents 20 to 25% of the paddy grain. When burned into power plants, the organic fraction burns, silica remains, and we obtain rice as cash. Worldwide, we produce 7.4 million tons of this ash every year, and most of it goes to landfills. But here's the secret. RHA contains highly amorphous and reactive silica that can be used in two main application areas such as construction and building materials and agriculture applications. But for this work, I want to focus on the first application, construction and building materials. Point parts, alkali activated materials are a sustainable alternative to ordinary Portland cement, which produces around 80% of global CO2 emissions. This makes them crucial for the future of building. This process is simple and efficient. Mix the precursor and solid activator, add water, stir, cast, vibrate, and cure the material. Our goal is to replace the traditional solid activator, the sodium metasilicate, with rice as cash. For this, we started with our Portuguese rice husk and converted it into biochar through pyrolysis at 550 degrees for 5 minutes. This process produced 2 kilograms of biochar, and this was conducted with our homemade equipment. Next, the biochar was calcined at 700 degrees for 1 hour, a temperature chosen because higher temperatures leads to crystallization, whereas 7,000 degrees removes the remaining carbon while keeping the silica in the amorphous phase. The final RHA appears as a fine dark powder, indicating complete combustion of the original biomass. Chemically, rice as cash is dominated by silicon dioxide, and sodium metasilicate is composed with both sodium silicate and silicon dioxide. The XRD pattern shows a broad halo, typically of amorphous silica, and Redfield refinement indicates that 98% amorphous phase with only minor crystalline fraction. This confirms our calcination method was effective, producing highly reactive silica. RHA particles are irregular and of varied size, and the sodium metasilicate are dense, compact, and non-porous particles. For the paste preparations through the specimen conformations, we follow these steps. First, the raw materials weighing, then homogenization for a minute, mechanical mixing and manual continuation for a minute, followed by a mechanical mixing for a minute and a half, conformation and vibrating 2 minutes, then demolding after 24 hours and curing for 7 to 28 days. We began by preparing the pastes, followed by their phase state characterization. In this phase, we measure the slump, setting time, and isothermal calorimetry. And for the specimen's conformation and curing, we performed by harness state characterization after 7 and 20 days of curing. We evaluated geometric density, mass loss, flexural and compressive strength, water absorption by immersion, sportivity, and microstructure analysis. It was preparing 6 formulations with sand, blast furnace slag, that is another waste that works as a precursor in this case, the sodium metasilicate at 100%, this is our standard formulation, and 25, 50, and 100% substitution of SM by RAJ. The water binder ratio was adjusted to match the SCD's workability. Scenting times clearly shows the roles of SM, mixes with SM set faster, and substituting it with RAJ increases scenting time because RAJ is less reactive. Compressive strength results indicate that partial replacement of SM by RAJ to 25 and 50% reaches above 12.5 megapascal, the minimum requirement for patches and structural walls. This means that 95% of the binder is waste content. These results leaves no doubt. RAJ is a game changer. Portugal produces 30 to 40,000 tons of rice as cash every year. Instead of being landfills, we can use it to create new construction materials, increase circularity, reduce waste, and cut environmental impact. The message is clear. Rice as cash is not the straw house or the stick house. It is the brick house of a circular future. And we, the young generations, are the ones who must rethink waste, challenge the old linear economic model, and build a more circular world. We must be like the third peak, thoughtful, strategic, and creative. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Inês. Fantastic presentation and very funny. I love the graphics.
Thank you.
Now we open the Q&A. We have a first question in the chat. What is the standard composition of the rice as cash? Average and generic values, of course. Does the composition values vary much with the circumstances?
I'm quite understanding the question. The standard composition, it didn't have any rice as cash. It was only with the sodium metasilicate. The compositions with which contain rice as cash was to 25, 50%, and 100% substitution of the sodium metasilicate. And yes, the composition varies very much in the mechanical performance, because if you saw the final graphic, we can see the compositions at 100%, and RHA doesn't demonstrate much compressive strength that is used for this kind of application, and it's very important to reach the 12.5 megapascal to use it.
Thank you. I have a question. From your understanding and studies, what do you think is the most difficulties that the industry can find by adopting this solution?
Legislation, because we don't have standardization to practice these sustainable alternatives. So I think companies are trying to find a way to start using it through the identities. I think some of the companies are pioneers in this aspect. So I really believe that in a few years, this question will be addressed and we can build more in a more responsible way.
Okay, thank you. If no further questions, we can jump for the next presentation. The next speaker is Ivan Amorim. He obtained his bachelor's in chemical engineering and his master's. It's specialization in processes and products at the Faculty of Engineering of the University of Porto. His main areas of interest are process simulation and reaction engineering. Ivan will present this thermodynamic and techno-economic evaluation of CO2 hydrogenation pathways for the production of e-fuels. You have the floor now, Ivan, please.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to share presentation. Can everybody see it?
It's still loading for me. Yes, I can see it now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, hi everyone, I'm Ivan Mourinho. I will be presenting the work I have developed in my already defended master's thesis in chemical engineering in SWYP. This study will focus on the production of electrofuels from a thermodynamic and techno-economical standpoint from the CO2 hydrogenation. The work was developed in a collaboration between LEPAP and Fraunhofer Portugal AVAM and Dr. Cláudio Rocha and Dr. Catarina Faria. Fraunhofer Portugal AVAM results from partnership between the German Fraunhofer, Fraunhofer Portugal, FCT, and universities of Trás-os-Montes and Évora. The main goal is to develop tech and processes such as those of membranes or energy systems. We'll dive into a framing of the work, state of the art, discuss the methodology and results, and the main conclusions. We shall start with a framing of work. The oil industry is essential for heat, energy, and transport, and has been a pillar in society since the 19th century. But the recent generations have been facing its consequences. The demand for oil has been increasing constantly throughout the years. This creates problems regarding the emission of greenhouse gases, which concentration in the atmosphere has been linearly increasing. With this, there's been a continuous efforts from research to find conventional fuel alternatives, namely the electrofuels or e-fuels. These are made from green hydrogen, from the water electrolysis, and carbon dioxide. Now, let's move on to the state of the art in catalytic studies, products, and feedstock, as well as ongoing projects. To make the hydrogen and greenhouse gas react, we need to obtain the CO2, which can come from biomass fermentation, heat generation, or industries such as that of cement and metal. While green hydrogen is key to decarbonizing the industry, the cost is too high. However, in 25 years, it's predicted that it lower to half of its current price. Though there are studies regarding direct hydrogen use in vehicles, the hydrogenation of CO2 is important to close the carbon cycle. Now let's move on to some of the most desired products, starting with the light paraffins to up to 5 carbons per molecule. Methane is most of natural gas. It is a greenhouse gas in itself, more pollutant than CO2. However, it burns cleaner and is less expensive than the others. Ethane is also part of natural gas, though it's only used for ethylene production. It shows potential as an e-fuel. Propane and butane, when mixed, can form autogas. And finally, pentane blended with gasoline range hydrocarbons can form what we call as natural gasoline. Heavy paraffins are the most blended in the world, namely gasoline and diesel. We have also kerosene, which is mostly used as sustainable aviation fuel and for heating in households. Now moving on to the alcohols and demethylator. Methanol is normally used with diesel to form a mix called M85, while ethanol, when mixed with gasoline, forms a mix that is cleaner than gasoline and a higher octane rating. Butanol, normally more potent in the isobutanol form, is also very potent in its normal form. Demethylator has promise due to its similar physical properties to the LPG. Here are some of the reactions involved in the process. I need to highlight the endothermicity of the reverse water gas shift and the exothermicity of the remainder. With a higher carbon chain length, there is more exothermicity. Studies on the shown catalysts have shown the highest possible selectivities for the desired fuels, and there are also presented the typical temperature, pressure, and hydrogen-carbon ratios in conventional process. Though this has shown promise, the investment and viability are still very questionable. At the moment, there are 77 e-fuel production plants globally. Green hydrogen is needed, so we have electrolysis technology with 1.4 gigawatts capacity in 2023 and projected of 520 gigawatts maximum into 2030. We have also seen the production of ethane with Audi in 2013. As well with Audi, we've seen synthetic crude oil being produced. We also have here in Portugal a Lipar and Veolia project for e-diesel and e-kerosene production, capturing in initial phase 100,000 annual tons of CO2 in Maia. E-methanol has reached an annual combined and projected production of 10 million tons, 900,000 of those in China. Denmark, however, has achieved an e-methanol reactor with a capacity of 2,000 tons of this fuel. Finally, Porsche and IGF have begun e-petrol production in 2022 in China, with scale-up plans of 550 million liters in 2027. Now let's move on to the methodology. For the simulation, I have used Aspen Plus, vastly used in mathematical modeling and chemical processes, and SWYP Redlich Kwong was the model used because it showed more compatibility with the products and feedstock used, namely hydrocarbons and light gases. Aromatics were not considered due to thermodynamic limitations. A thermodynamic study with a simple feed, reaction, and production model was conducted in an air Gibbs. This is isothermal and produced mainly the more thermodynamically stable products, needing an input of the possible products. For methane production, we considered carbon monoxide, for the others we didn't. In a more integrated vision, for the worst and best cases of productivity, the production phase of each fuel simulated counting on compression, heat exchange, and the initial separation of the reaction products. Flue gas was fed with shown concentrations to a series of compressors and coolers in order to not surpass safety temperatures of the compressors. Pure hydrogen was mixed with the gas and fed to the reactor at adequate temperatures and pressures. Separations happened at much lower pressures than those of the reactions. In these cases, preliminary economic analyses were made counting on operation and feedstock costs and the fuel sale price for conventional produced fuel. A potential rentability parameter, the alpha, was measured. If lower than 1, the process is considered non-viable, and if greater, it's doable more detailed analysis. For this, the capital cost is counted, and with the UpMaze project analysis tool, I was able to analyze the cash flow for a 10-year assessment. Now let's move on to the results. For the thermodynamic assessment, as the main reactions are exothermic, it's expected that an increase in temperature reduces the productivity. Higher pressures, however, will increase productivity since the reactions lead stoichiometrically to a lowering in the number of moles. Thus, high pressures lead to more product. Methanation shows completion, but the reverse water gas shift lowers it a little with the higher temperatures due to endothermicity. Productivity lowers with an increase in carbon chain length, which makes the molecules more thermodynamically unstable. We can see as well for the results in methanol, they show a different shape due to different sensitivities to pressure and temperature. In this slide, we can see the possible rentability graphically, and it's shown for the worst and best case in gasoline and the best in diesel. Payback time has proved impossible to achieve in further economic analysis, given the decrease in cash flow and the negative net present value. As hydrogen cost is the main obstacle for economic viability, its effect was evaluated on cash flow variation. In the case of gasoline for the highest productivity, viability can be expected with hydrogen costs between 1 and 2 euros per kilogram. For the lowest productivity, however, there's an undetermined payback time for the 1 euro per kilogram, suggesting that this process can be hardly viable. Finally, for diesel, in the best case, there is no payback time whatsoever. We also analyzed the minimum selling point for fuel, considering the normal hydrogen price at 3 euros per kilogram, and discovered that at most, sustainable gasoline has to be 1.5 times more expensive and diesel 2.5 times more expensive, revealing no competition with the current market prices. For discussion, these results come from a limited study regarding lack of additional separation, storage, and transport conditions. It's necessary to consider real flue gas contains oxygen and water, and it requires further separation, as well as we need to recycle the hydrogen that comes out in the outlets. Economically, the predicted reduction of hydrogen costs, political support, and scaling will be the key for viability. Besides, carbon taxes might allocate money for research and e-fuel plant development. This project is aligned with UN's SDGs, mainly 7 and 13. E-fuel production might allow citizens outside the energy network to access reliable energy and increase renewables usage. Implementation of measures for global warming in national regulation is also of great importance to go in line with the objective 13. To conclude, we can see methane and methanol show higher productivities, but this cannot translate to economic viability, which is shown in the case of gasoline production with predicted green hydrogen costs reduction. In the rest of the cases, it cannot be shown. I would like to thank a lot Dr. Claudio Rocha and Dr. Catarina Faria for the involvement in this process, and thank you all for the attention.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Very interesting. We now open the Q&A session. We have a first question from Antonio. Aspen's simulations are great, but are based on models. Did you validate the simulation results with data from the literature, experimental, if available?
No, because this was not available. As I said, I had to develop a general plant so that I could compare exactly the production of 12 fuels. So this was not a plant regarding recycling of hydrogen, recycling of other gases. So it was very, very general. I only found one study regarding the thermodynamic study, so the 3D graphs that I showed, and they went a lot in line. That study, however, showed the effects of oxygen and water in the flue gas, which I didn't account for.
Okay, thank you so much. I have another question, a general one. What do you think that can be improved in this process that you studied to make this feasibility and competitive?
Okay, so I think that the main point is to try to reuse existing plants. So I think that it was in Chile that they used, like they built a new plant alongside an existing one. So I think one of the points is to try to use existing infrastructure, but the other point is obviously to broaden the green hydrogen market, so it lowers the cost, because it's by far the main obstacle in the study.
Okay, thank you so much, Ivan.
Thank you.
Now we jump to the third presentation. Our next presenter is Isabella Tomasi. Isabella has a bachelor's from UPF, Brazil, and a master's from Faculty of Engineering of University of Porto in environmental engineering. She obtained a research fellowship focusing on tannin and cork adsorbents. As a current PhD candidate, her research focuses on extracting tannins from vegetable residues to create tannin-based coagulants for water treatment and effluent remediation. She will now discuss natural tannin-based coagulants and sustainable alternatives for the removal of arsenic and antimony from water. You can proceed, Isabella.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Margarida. So I am Isabella, and today I will present you some results regarding the use of natural tannin-based coagulants as a green alternative for arsenic and antimony removal. First of all, I will talk about the metalloids that we studied. The first one was antimony, that occurs naturally in the Earth's crust and is usually used in flame retardants, lead-acid batteries, alloy ceramics, and electronics. The exposures at high levels can affect the skin, lungs, heart, and the gastrointestinal system. According to the drink water guidelines, the typically set limits is around 5 to 20 micrograms, but the European Union limit is 10 micrograms per liter. The common sources of antimony contamination is mining and smelting of antimony or lead containing ores, the industrial discharge from flame retardant, battery, and electronic production, and the leaching from PET plastics under high temperatures. After that, we studied the arsenic. It exists in organic and inorganic form, and the inorganic one is the most toxic. Again, the long-term exposure is linked to skin lesions, cancer, cardiovascular, and neurological issues. The European Union and the World Health Organization drinking water limit is again 10 micrograms per liter. The most common sources of arsenic are the mining and metal smelting activities, the industrial waste from glass, electronics, and chemical production, the legacy arsenic-based pesticides, and the combustion. So there are some treatment methods used for the removal of arsenic and antimony from water, and they are presented in this table. The most common are adsorption, ion coagulation flocculation, ion exchange, reverse osmosis, nanofiltration, oxidation pretreatment, and lime softening. The problem associated with the most part of these treatment methods is that they are complex and they are expensive. And as we can see in the table, they are more effective in removing arsenic in comparison to antimony. In this present work, we focused on the coagulation flocculation operation because it's one of the most simple and the most used in wastewater and water treatment plants, and it's relatively cost effective. So how the coagulation flocculation works in this case, basically the most common coagulants used in wastewater and water treatments are the based in ferric and aluminum salts. In this case, these coagulants are added to the water and they form metal hydroxides that adsorb the metalloids that we are studying. These form flocks, and these flocks can be removed from sedimentation and filtration. The problem associated with these coagulants is that they are poorly biodegradable, their performance is easily affected by the pH of the water, they produce a high volume of toxic sludge, and the aluminum-based coagulants especially are associated with neurodegenerative diseases. The solution for all these drawbacks is the use of natural options. In this case, we are studying the tannin-based coagulants that present some advantages, including their biodegradability, their expected cost effectiveness. They present a good performance at a great pH range, and they produce a smaller volume of non-toxic and biodegradable sludge. So the tannin, I will talk now about the tannin-based coagulant production. Since this work is being conducted here in Portugal, and we are one of the 10 largest chestnut producers in the world, we used the chestnut shells tannins for the production of the coagulant. When we extract the tannins, we can't use this directly in the water treatment because tannins present an anionic behavior in aqueous medium, and they need to be cationized to be applied as coagulant. So the coagulant production consists in extracting the tannins. In this case, we use a solid liquid extraction method with distilled water, considering these optimum conditions. Once we have the liquid extract, we need to freeze dry it so we can concentrate the tannins. And after that, we need to do a chemical modification. In this case, we use the Mannich reaction, so we can produce a coagulant with a positive character. Here you can check the CC tannin-based coagulant produced by us. Now about the coagulation flocculation experiments. We compared 4 different coagulants, 2 natural and 2 chemical ones. The natural ones was the CC-based produced by us, Tant flock, that's a tannin-based coagulant derived from the acacia tree that is in the market for around 20 years, and the 2 most popular chemical coagulants. We tested these 4 coagulants for removing arsenic and antimony from a simulated ground water. We evaluated also the influence of the coagulation on final pH, conductivity, the organic matter, the total nitrogen, and turbidity. We determined the optimum pH for each coagulant, and the natural-based ones in the iron chloride showed an optimum pH at 5, while the aluminum sulfate one had the optimum pH at 7. Finally, some results. As expected, the metallic coagulants achieved the highest removal efficiencies. Both chemical coagulants were able to reduce about 100% of the arsenic, while the antimony removal was a little lower, between 60 and 90%. The Tunflox showed an increasing removal with higher dosages. It was able to reduce about 15% of the arsenic, and it could remove 50% of the antimony, which is very good. The chestnut coagulant presented similar results to Tunflox regarding the arsenic removal, but it required higher dosages. The CC-based coagulant could reduce about 15%, but using 35 milligrams per liter instead of the 12 milligrams per liter that was needed for Tunflox. And the CC was able to reduce only about 13% of the antimony. After that, we evaluated the conductivity and the pH, because natural coagulants are known for not altering so much these parameters. And here we can check that this is true. Only the iron chloride increased the conductivity initial values and decreased the initial pH. In this case, the CC also demonstrated an increase in the initial pH, but it was very low, in the range of 0.9. After that, we evaluated the organic matter and the total nitrogen. Here we can check that the CC-based coagulant increased the total organic carbon by about 3 times, while the other coagulants kept the initial TOC. The iron chloride was able to reduce the TOC, and regarding the nitrogen, most of the coagulants were able to reduce it, but CC coagulant increased it about 0.6 milligrams per liter. Finally, some conclusions. So we can conclude that the chestnut shell residues proved to be a good source for producing coagulants. The metallic coagulants were effective in removing arsenic and antimony, with arsenic showing higher removal rates. In this case, the iron chloride outperformed the aluminum sulfate in removing both metalloids, while requiring lower dosages. But this coagulant caused changes in final pH and conductivity. Tunflox was more effective at removing antimony than arsenic, which was good. And the CC increased TOC and nitrogen, but this is not such a problem. This is commonly reported in the literature. And we need to think that water treatment typically involves multiple steps, and this organic load can be removed in subsequent states. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Isabella. Now we open the chat, as she said. If anyone has a question, you can open your mic or write in the chat, but I can start. What do you think would be the next steps for making the solution applicable in the real life? I mean, in the treatment applications?
The first problem is that we are working with chestnut shells, and we have like a limit of time the chestnut is produced here. So this is the first problem. The next problem is associated with the tanning extraction. The chemical modification is not actually a problem. I think the tanning extraction is the biggest problem in this case, because we need a lot of material, and we need a lot of energy to extract the tannins and dry it. So I think we need to find a solution to have this extracted in huge volumes, so this can be applied in real life water treatments.
Okay, thank you. We have another question in the chat. Can the proposed solution reach the arsenic limits for drinking water?
No. No, actually, yes, because the chemical coagulants could do it, but the natural ones could not. We need to improve the experiments and try different conditions and check if we can do it.
Okay, thank you so much for your answers. If no one has nothing to say, thank you. Now we proceed to our last presentation with Ricardo Ferreira. He holds a PhD in Industrial Biotechnology from the University of Aveiro with a focus on developing sustainable value-added products for the food, nutraceutical and cosmetic sectors. His expertise includes advanced analytical techniques, which he applies in the extraction, characterization, and development of bioactive compounds. His research portfolio also encompasses smart packaging technologies, biocomposites, and wastewater treatment. He developed biosorbents from vegetable waste for the removal of contaminants from food industry effluents, and he will now present his work. You have the floor.
Hello, thank you very much for the very nice presentation. Allow me just to share my screen with you. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, you can proceed. Yes.
Thank you. Hello to you all. Thank you very much for the kind presentation, as I just said. So my work is entitled Transformation of Vegetable Waste into Functional Biosorbents, a Sustainable Approach to Treat Food Industry Effluents. This work was developed in collaboration with a food company, the Campotec. It's a company that is responsible for cleaning and peeling vegetables and fruits in order to package them and send them to the supermarkets. And Campotec, as well as other food industries in Portugal, are responsible for the production and generation of large volumes of wastewater that is characterized by high turbidity, color, and organic matter, and this can represent a huge environmental impact. There's the need for the development and the production of sustainable and efficient treatments for this water in order to minimize their environmental impact and try to comply with regulatory standards. Also, there's in Portugal and in the European Union, there's strict discharge limits, and there's also that are being applied and increasingly applied. And there's also the need for the exploration of potential water reuse within the industry in order to try to increase the circularity of the company, as well as reduce the amount of water they use. For that, and in order to try to use the same water within the industry, there's the need for the advancement of green high-performance treatment methodologies. One of those methodologies, and one that is used for the treatment of wastewater, is the adsorption. Adsorption is normally very expensive because it uses high purity carbon-based materials. Nevertheless, in our lab, in this work in particular, we are using a waste in order to valorize this waste, and the waste that we are proposing to use for the production of biosorbents is cabbage stems. These cabbage stems are sent to us from the company. It's a waste from the same company that we are trying to treat their effluent. It's an abundant agro-industrial waste. It represents a sustainable and economical circular economy solution because we are transforming a waste into a valuable resource, as well as a low-cost absorbent material when compared to high-purity carbon-based materials. Regarding the objectives of this work is the production of biosorbents from cabbage stems and research into their application in the treatment of food industry effluents. How do we propose to do this? Through the analysis of efficiency and different impregnation procedures, as well as the evaluation of turbidity, color, and talc removal capacities. Regarding the methodology that was applied during this work, First of all, we received the cabbage stems. They were cut in small pieces, dried at 60 degrees overnight or until humidity of less than 8%. Then they were milled and separated into two different granulometries, a powdered one and a granulated one. After that, some of the dried and milled cabbage stems were separated. One of those parts were thermally treated, and the other one was impregnated using three different impregnated materials: iron chloride, urea, and 10% of iron. After that, they were thermally treated as well, as you can see here on the scheme. After the assays, we analyzed the real effluents in terms of turbidity, color, chemical oxygen demand, and total organic carbon removal. Regarding the results, and in order to try to understand what's the best and most promising result that we can attain from the biosolvents that we produce, we perform some removal of turbidity and color assays, and for all the tests that we performed, we use a concentration of 5 grams of adsorbent for liter of effluent. Regarding the preliminary results, those were performed using the biosolvents without treatment and only thermally treated. And we can say that they failed in removing color and turbidity, and because of that, we thought that we needed to do more, and then we decided to do the impregnation, the chemical activation. Then here are the results that we attained for the chemical activation using the 3 different impregnated materials. You can see regarding the turbidity removal, the urea were not capable of removing any of the turbidity of the real effluent. And the ones treated with zinc and iron were capable of removing a little bit of the turbidity present on the effluent, with the ones of zinc having a little bit better results when comparing to the iron ones. Regarding color removal, here the zinc was the only one, the cabbage stems impregnated with zinc were the only ones that were responsible for and capable of removal color of the effluent that has a brownish color that is normally associated with the presence of organic matter, and as well as some of the dirt that was present on the vegetables, and we could remove around 50% of the color. Regarding and changing our focus for the organic load, here the result changed a little bit, because the biosorbents that were impregnated with 10% iron were shown a superior performance when comparing to the other biosorbents that we obtained, and we can obtain cod removal of up to 80% when using the biosorbent impregnated with 10% of iron. Here I have a table that has a little bit of the resume of the results that we obtained, and I highlighted here in green the ones that represent the better results, and in yellow the one that could be more and less, and in red the ones that didn't work. As you can see here, the one that the granulated one cabbage stems impregnated with zinc chloride attained the better turbidity removal as well as color removal, obtaining a little bit of cod removal. Regarding the ones impregnated with iron, no color removal was obtained because there was leaching of iron into the effluent that increased the yellowish color of the effluent when compared to the one treated with zinc chloride. Regarding talc removal, there was no removal of talc when compared to the initial effluents for all the biosolvents that we tested. So regarding the talc analysis, we confirmed there's the need for future optimizations for complete removal of all organic components. We also performed the adsorption capacity and effluent complexity assays, and we noticed that the adsorption capacity that we attained regarding the removal in chemical oxygen demand was around 2 milligrams per gram of oxygen, and this reflects the high complexity of the matrix that we were testing, because we tested in real effluents from the company. Regarding the conclusions and next steps, this biosorbent has potential because the cabbage waste was responsible for the removal of turbidity to values that are below 4 NTUs, that is the limit for discharge. So this is a viable alternative for wastewater treatment. we can notice that the importance of activation, because activation conditions, as we saw, directly impact the bioabsorbance performance. As in future work, we need to optimize and combine physical and chemical activation strategies to obtain better results. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ricardo. It was amazing. Now we open the question and answer session. We already have one question in the chat. Building on that, could you tell us a bit more about cases like the recent lactogal discharges in Portugal? What do you see as the most promising ways to turn dairy effluents and milk residues into valuable products so they are reused instead of being discharged?
Well, that's interesting and difficult question to answer, because I'm not really sure exactly what was the composition of the effluent that was discharged from lactogal. But one of the things that is being applied for residues from companies for dairy products is the application and use for the production of whey protein. That is one of the most common things that we can do with the residue from dairy materials. But that's nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. But I'm sure that there are some materials that are present on the dairy farms that can be, or dairy companies that can be used for the production of. I'm not sure if for the coagulant part it can be applied, but for adsorption maybe it can be. We can use some of the fatty acids or something like that. But that's very difficult without knowing the composition of the effluent. That's the first thing that we do normally. It's try to understand the composition of the effluent and the residues that the company has. If the company has a residue that can be used for the, as Isabella has just said, for the production of coagulants, or if we can use it for the production of biosorbents. I'm not really sure if I answered the question, but
I don't know if Teresa wants to say anything or...
No, thank you,
Okay.
Ricardo. Just out of the box, just sorry, but yeah.
I can try
You
to
answered very
search a
well.
little bit about the effluent and then send you an email or something like that.
Thank you. It was a case study that everyone knows.
Yeah, thank you for the answer and the question, of course. And in terms of legislation, for example, in this example of lactogal, what is the legislation that applies to it, and how it can be assessed? Like you said, it's hard to understand which type of effluent and its composition, and to understand how to understand it, right? So it's what are the main legislation for this?
There are some things that are very easy to see. One of those is color, and the color for the discharge limit for color is if you dilute your effluent 1 to 20, and if you don't see color, you can discharge it, for example. That's one of the main, because I'm working, for example, as well with the textile industry effluents, and those color there is a very high problem. It's the thing that you notice that has and it shouldn't have. And one of those things that is its color. It's very easy to detect. Another is the turbidity. It needs to be below 4 NTUs. NTUs is the measure that we use for turbidity. And there's also the presence of, as the previous presentation, of some heavy metals, some that needs to be a strict regulatory part of that. That is the tricky part, because you don't see that. There's the need for more advanced techniques. But for example, the Campotec, the effluent that I'm using from Campotec, they only use the water to peel the vegetables and clean them. So in general, we don't have to be as focused on the presence of heavy metals, because only if the water was previously contaminated would the effluent have it. But what we can and should be focusing is on color, turbidity, and organic load, because the organic load is also responsible for, if it has a very high organic load, it will lead to eutrophization, because it will increase the population of algae, because they will consume the organic matter, and then there's a risk of eutrophization of the waters.
Okay, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
this insightful. What were the main challenges in your work, and have you been applied this solution in a practical place, industry?
In this case, in the treatment of food industry effluents, not yet. This is a project that just started. We started working with this in this summer. So and these results are still preliminary because reducing only 10% in turbidity was enough, but it was not good. It was enough to reduce it below 4, but not good enough because the effluent could, if it had higher turbidity, wouldn't be enough. So this is just preliminary results. But for the results that we had for the textile industry effluent, we had very good results, and our project is in collaboration with CITEV as well. And I was able to go to CITEV and reuse the water that we treated with our adsorbents and use it to do the dyeing. And we were able to apply up to 75% of the water that we treated and 25% of clean water, and do the dyeing experiments. And the textile part was completely okay. The color didn't change. So we were able to reuse 75% of the water that we treated.
Okay.
So these biosorbents have applicability.
Okay, so you need more work to clarify everything. Yeah. We have a question from Francisco. How does the performance compare to commercial solvents currently used in an industry?
Regarding this work, our work was not very good still. So we are trying to find the better solution for that, because I think the main problem with the cabbage stems is they absorb a lot of water. So instead of impregnation on the surface of the zinc chloride, for example, that was the one with the better results, it absorbs the zinc chloride and it goes to the inside of the cabbage stems, reducing the amount of zinc on the surface, and the zinc ion would be responsible for the absorption of the negative particles that are present on the effluent. So comparing the cabbage stems with the commercial ones, our results are still very, very low in comparison. But I think we have the room to increase, especially if we increase for example, the temperature in order to do a more extreme treatment, or if we change from cabbage stems to other solutions, for example, something with a higher amount of lignin instead of cellulose.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think now we can close your presentation if no one has answers questions. This concludes session 2 in circular engineering, materials, energy, and water. Thank you very much to everyone who submitted a question, and of course to our speakers, Inês Brigas, Ivan Amorim, Isabela Tomassi, Lara e Ricardo Ferreira. Thank you. This was incredible to watch. Your presentations were very, very good. Thank you. Now I would like to hand over to Daniela Rezende and to proceed to the next part of the conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. We're just waiting a little bit for all members of the roundtable to join us online. Our roundtable will have the theme circularity in action, challenges and opportunities. And I think it will be really interesting after all these amazing presentations that we have here. So I see that Professor Hole is already here. So I also see Francisco Carvalho, Gabriel Medeiros, and Maria João. So everyone is here. Thank you all. And welcome. It's a great pleasure for me to be here moderating this roundtable. I hope it will be a great discussion. So to make a short introduction of all the speakers, Raul Fangueiro is a full professor of advanced materials at the University of Minho and an advisor to the Portuguese government for science and innovation, and also the president of the Fibronamics Institute. He coordinates national and international projects in high-performance sustainable materials, and he's ranked among the top 2% most influenced scientists worldwide. Maria João Rodrigues, she's the executive coordinator of the Cities for Climate Network and a researcher at ENEST. She holds a PhD in industrial engineering and management, with part of her research conducted at the Carnegie Mellon University, and has held leadership roles regarding energy, climate, and sustainability policies. Gabriel Medeiros is a professor at ISEG, University of Lisbon, and there he coordinates the sustainability area. He is also an ESG specialist for small and medium enterprises, with a background in international development and a doctorate in progress about climate change and sustainable development policies. Francisco Carvalho, he is the coordinator for research and innovation at the Laboratório da Paisagem in Guimarães, and is the co-chair of Curiosity's groups working on climate resilience, biodiversity, and circular economy. He holds a PhD in molecular and environmental biology and is a former Fulbright scholarship, and works across academia, policy, and industry on circular economy, nature-based solutions, and on the green transition. As for me, I'm a researcher at Universidade Católica Portuguesa at the Centro de Biotecnologia e Química Fina, and I'm also a member of the Smart Waste Young Professionals Leadership Team. I'm coordinating the education group. So once again, thank you and welcome to be here. And to start off this roundtable, I would like to ask the four of you, how can we foster real synergies between municipalities, companies, government, and academia within a circular economy? What do you think it's the best way to foster these synergies? I don't know if any of you would like to start.
I can do that.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you all for inviting us to be here. It's really a pleasure, and also congratulate the initiative and the organization. It's really good. So I would start by saying, Danielle, that I think this challenge applies to a lot of other sectors and views, not only for circular economy system, I would say, or ecosystem and strategies. I mean, I would like here to give a little bit the views from the municipalities, as we have been working with a lot of municipalities, and also a view that municipalities have within the European Green Deal policy, where municipalities and other public bodies are taking this role of leading by example, and this is very important to put in evidence. Because there are really some mandatory obligations to these public bodies, and what should be their role in fostering these synergies. I think it's very important to look at what are the powers of the municipalities in fostering this type of connections and working together to have a more comprehensive approach, namely to circular economy. And I would put in evidence the role they can have in public procurement, because I think it's really, really important in these matters. First of all, of course, in sustainable public procurement, because the municipality actually has this influence over the market, or can influence the market to go in a given direction, namely in providing for more circularity in all the public purchases, I would say, but also. And when connecting companies and academia and municipalities, eventually not so much the government here, but I would put in evidence these instruments for procuring innovation, which is not so much yet used by municipalities. It's a difficult instrument to put forward, but there are different types of instruments. So public procurement of innovative solutions, for instance, this allows the authorities to procure innovative solutions that are not readily available, and that can promote the connection between companies and academia in order to, and of course also with the municipality, to jointly develop what are solutions to the most important challenges that the municipalities are facing. This also, of course, applies to pre-commercial procurement, so not so much in a research and development phase, but already approaching the market. But also the municipality and, for instance, institutions like the Laboratório da Paisagem, they can promote innovation partnerships, and this is very important in connecting all these entities and working together for a common goal. I would say that's my first point around your question.
Thank you. Yes, these institutions such as Laboratório da Paisagem, I think they're really essential here in making this bridge. And so I will ask Francisco Carvalho if he has, as representing this institution in particular, if he wants to have to this point.
Yes, thank you, Daniela, and thank you also for the invitation. It's good. I'm really happy to be here representing the Landscape Laboratory and also, of course, Guimarães. And I'm also happy to see here some familiar faces as Maria João and also Raul, but that we've been working together a lot, and it's demonstrated by itself how this ecosystem in Guimarães is already working and works also in this subject of circular economy, for example. So I would say regarding the main question that you did this to bring this, how can we increase the synergies between everyone? So Guimarães implemented this governance ecosystem 2030. And in this governance ecosystem, we have, of course, the municipal team with multiple departments. And there was the creation of the Landscape Lab to connect both the municipality, academia, so try to bring science to transform the local landscape, I would say, and to interact with, of course, with citizens, with the private and public sector. And this governance ecosystem in Guimarães is a demonstrator on how can we see different stakeholders on the table, really, and first try to align a shared vision, which I believe it's a first step that is very important. So let's align the vision, and aligning the vision is very good because we set some goals. We set some KPIs to measure and to monitor our performance through time, and we open opportunities. And for example, we are right now working in calls together with other institutions inside of the governance ecosystem. For example, we are now working on a call with Fiberdynamics that is here with Raul. which demonstrates how sitting the same institution, how bringing academia together with the municipality, together with private companies on the table, can align and open opportunities for funding, for example, that can bring innovation to the territory. It can demonstrate and bring results that can help cities to really transform over time. So one key topic is to bring this structure, this governance structure that really starts to work together and decreases the distance between this institution, that I believe that is very important. And bringing, for example, we used in the case of the circular economy related with a specific sector of textiles in the case of Guimarães, which is as you know, a very important sector in terms of the economy at the local level, and who might talk better than me about this topic, but textile business are very important in Guimarães. So we set up a local action group, for example, inside of a specific project, to start to discussing with small, medium-sized companies also, how can we look to the next challenges that this sector is bringing to Guimarães specifically as one of the main sectors in terms of industrial activity, and what opportunities will it bring for the future in terms of innovation, funding, and also solving some social issues as well, environmental issues, that it is also a very key important topic. So I think this kind of setup in Guimarães, where the landscape laboratory is part in bringing this connection between academia, local authorities, also the citizens, the private sector, is very important. And looking to this table, we see that this is an example of how this the system is working by itself and bringing some results as well.
Thank you, Francisco. I'll move this topic slightly now to Professor Raul, and I will ask you if or how can multi-level governance, so we have this local, regional, national, EU, how can it be better aligned to avoid conflicting directives? And how can, because Francisco presented the example of Guimarães, and but how can we manage all these strategies at several levels in order to reach these circular economy models?
Okay. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you very much for the question, and it's a great pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for the invitation. Well, about that specific topic, I will stress a little bit what Francisco said, that in Guimarães we have a real ecosystem working, not only for circular economy, but of course circular economy is very important, but I would say in general terms for innovation in different sectors. And why this is happening in Guimarães? This is happening because of course the municipality has a very important role, or plays a very important role in I would say, in linking the ecosystem, in defining the strategies, the links between all the institutes that are related to different topics. But then we have a very interesting network of infrastructures. Of course, the landscape lab is an important infrastructure here, more related to this topic. But those connected to the University of Minho, and mainly to the School of Engineering, like Fibernamics, OPIEP, or CVR, the Center for Valorization of Waste. And the way we connect all these capabilities in Guimarães is quite, I will say, is quite unique in Portugal. And I know the ecosystems in Portugal and also in some places in Europe. But the way the municipality is connected with this infrastructure that is placed in Guimarães is quite interesting. And I will say that is a case study in Europe as well. And then the third pillar, that municipality and this infrastructure, technological infrastructure, and then the third pillar that are the companies working within the region, is also very interesting, and they are quite keen on establishing this relationship. What I think is missing, and this is perhaps an interesting topic to be discussed, is then the way this ecosystem is creating solutions, let's call them solutions, that has a direct influence on the consumers. And when we are talking about circular economy, and let's talk about the sustainability in general terms, of course, the role played by consumers is very important. And we may have an ecosystem working, linking municipalities, academia, and companies. But if we don't bring consumers for this ecosystem, we cannot apply all the things we can develop. So the municipality has also a very important role, or plays a very important role in this aspect on linking the ecosystem with real people working with the things that are developed by the ecosystem. From the governance point of view, as Francisco said as well, most of these institutes working not only in Guimarães, but in Portugal and in some other places in Europe, they are governed by the academia, the municipality, and the companies. So I would say that in the board of directors, so the strategy of these RTOs like Fibronamics or Laboratório da Paisagem or others, PIEP, in the strategy moment, so the strategy is defined by all these pillars together. And that is very interesting because we can align the strategy within these three actors that are very important for this, the results we can achieve based on that. Just a first intervention for this part.
Yes, thank you. Indeed. And I will get back to that part later, the how to reach consumers. But now I would like to ask Professor Gabriel Medeiros. One of the things that has also been mentioned, I think also Francisco mentioned, is the funding. And since you have experience in working particularly with small and medium enterprises, do you think the current funding mechanisms are adequate for circular transition, and particularly for small and medium enterprises, or do we need improvements in that area? Do you need new models?
Daniela, thank you very much for the invitation and this panel. It's great to be here and sharing this moment with everyone. Well, regarding circular economy, and I like to say that circular economy, it's a whole new economy process, right? It's different from everything that we have nowadays. And changing these perspectives, it demands a lot of instruments, participation, synergy, if you want to call it like that, between all those parties that are in this ecosystem. So from the company perspectives and from the financial part of that, most of the instruments available, they are still connected to this old model of the linear economy, and they are not centered on small and medium enterprises that are the real ones who run the economy. But of course, they have very limited resources to invest in research, new developments, and that's very challenging for those companies to implement, to risk, and try new technologies or products or reduction in some material use. So we need to reshape the way that we finance these kinds of new circular ideas. I believe that we can start in a more simple way of simply looking inside your company, analyzing your skills, your capabilities, seeing where we can improve the processes to be more efficient, how can we change some processes. But again, that demands time, and it's risky, and it's also demands a lot of money. So in order to have this transition. And I do believe that the small and medium enterprises, they are the ones that need to be part of this process, because as I said, it's a whole new economy and full of possibilities and challenges and opportunities as well, for internship, for entrepreneurships, new ideas, new businesses. So we just need to explore that in a different perspective. And when we look for the way that circular economy works, and the possibilities are like huge. We have a lot of ways of changing the economic process, the economy, and using and applying this for the small and medium enterprises. It's a great solution for that. But unfortunately, we just need to reshape the way that we finance transition. And because the small and medium enterprise, they need to take care of profit for first, then risky, and then they need to be the cost of all of this transition. Okay, so they do not simply change and then risky and fail. That can cost the entire company financial health. So it's complicated, but it's possible. And I think that since we realize that circular economy is a solution for most of the problems that we have in terms of efficiency, in terms of reducing the needs from raw materials, and all of that aspects that are related to circular economy, we can have a very positive impact, and we open the space for new businesses, new invention, new enterprises. And as I said, this is a whole new economy that it opens for us when we talk about circular economy. So I think that's for this first intervention, it's good. I know that we can explore that later more.
Thank you, Gabriel. Yes, indeed. So I agree with you that while we're trying to make the transition to a circular economy, most of the funding, most of the thinking is still most of the regulations probably as well are still focused on a linear economy perspective. And so I would go back to Raul Fangueiro and ask him, because I know you're also a member of the National Council for Science, Technology and Innovation. And so what do you think, particularly regarding scientific and innovation policies, what are the most urgent changes that we need to do to accelerate the circular transition, and also taking into account that this innovation needs to reach the companies, and as Gabriel said, it needs to be done in a cost-effective way, so we can never make companies fail due to this. So from a policy point of view, what can we do?
Yeah, I don't have a solution for that. That is a very, very wide question. But what I might say about that is, Europe is a good example on how to invest in this part of this topic of circular economy. I've been in several places all over the world talking about this topic of circular economy, and some in Asia or in America. And when they look at our goals for sustainability and for this part of the circular economy, they think that they are quite far from us, at least in terms of the objectives we set for this topic. And the financial envelope we have in Europe is quite big as well, and there are several ways of getting funds for this topic. In Portugal, particularly, talking about the experience of Fibronamics, and I believe it's the experience of other institutes like us, I will say that nowadays our projects are more. We can group our projects in two different areas. One is related to circular economy and sustainability in general, and the other part is on defense. So these are mainly the two topics where we can group our projects, and most of the contacts we have from companies are related to these two aspects. So one, from the circular economy, what we see is from the technological point of view, we still have a long way to go. So there are many issues related to the reuse, to the reprocessing of some of the wastes and so on. So there are many aspects we still have to research, to investigate, to develop the technologies that can be feasible, cost effective, that can be transferred for companies, and can develop products that can be used in the same way we use the products we are used to use. So, and this is very important. We are involved in different projects in this topic with different companies, with not only in Portugal but worldwide. And this is definitely a very important point. But as Gabriel said, I believe there are many opportunities because we have many challenges to face. So even in terms of business models, in terms of scientific achievements, technological achievements, the way the companies think and the models they implement in terms of management, in terms of even in terms of the use of the human resources and so on. So there are, I believe this is a new paradigm we need to face, and we are in the early stage of facing all the challenges we have in front of us.
Yes, indeed. I agree. So we've done so much, but there's still so much to do. I think it's the main point. I would like to ask Francisco if he, as also working in the landscape laboratory, if he agrees with this message, and also where do you see the biggest barriers here in implementing these circular models? Do you think it's the legislation, it's the technology, the technical capacity, as Raul was saying, or is it also, as Raul also mentioned, the social change, or is it the financial issues? What do you think it's the biggest challenge here?
Well, I see, as Raul was mentioning before, in my opinion, there are two main barriers. One of them is, of course, the social part, and the consumer part. So how can we change the consumer behavior towards more circular practices in terms of their buying processes, and also legislation in the upper part. So you can work on both ways to push these things a little bit for at least. And I'm just remembering some conversation we had. So last month we had the environmental forum with the Euro cities, and we've been discussing, for example, in the textile sector, there was an example of a company in Malmo in Sweden that is Siptex, that they created a model for sorting textile post-consumption textile waste. It's a in terms of technology, very interesting platform inside of a big building. So it automatically puts the waste on a tray, and then it selects, if this is cotton, if this is, polyester and other things and so on. So technologically, a very advanced solution, but that was stopped because there was no taker for that. There was no taker in the market, which means that if you don't have the end user consuming that, it doesn't matter if you have the technological advances, and if you set up a very high-end research facility that can help you technologically do that, because you don't have the full circle. And so you can do that both, as Raul was mentioning, working on the consumer behavior, and also pushing, for example, with EPR schemes at the European level that can push the markets a little bit more towards a more circular practices in terms of this of these models. So I think these are two of the main challenges. Of course, in this case, there's a lot to do at multiple levels of governance. Not only municipalities can do more, companies can do more as well, pushing these limits by themselves. But we need to work specifically, I would say, in these two factors, and there are ways to do that. So European Union and European Commission is trying to work on that with the EPR for specific sectors. We know that not only on textiles but others as well. But I think there's a lot to do in terms of consumer behavior. You can push that a little bit as well, for example, with financial schemes as well that can support the ones that contribute to these circular practices. But there's still a long road to run to achieve the goals that we have. As Raul was mentioning, that at least at the European level, the standards are very high, and we need to work more towards that. Yeah.
Thank you. I would like now to move on. We've talked about the challenges, and so I would like now to ask Maria João more about the opportunities in a more positive tone. So we've talked about these challenges that the institutions, the municipalities are facing, but where do you see the greatest opportunities for circular models? And from your experience at the Cities for Climate Network, what is do you see any good examples, good models that could be a model that could serve as an example for others to follow?
Daniela, if you allow me, before going into your question, the previous interventions just caused me a reflection that we have a problem also when tackling innovation, because we are always talking about moving away from a linear economy to a circular economy, but we are also, for many years now, talking about innovation models that are not linear, and we are still using innovation models, and this is part of the problem. The example that Francisco gave is an extreme good example of we are going linear in innovation, so we don't evolve, the end user, even if it's not the consumer in when developing technology, for instance, and that's a problem. We cannot be separated from the whole, there are several helixes that are mentioned in innovation research, but we cannot decouple what is the research doing, the industry or the companies doing, and the final user, and also the institutional, envelope. And this has to move together, not in a linear way. So when we're talking about doing research in universities and research centers, and then transferring it to companies, this is a linear model. And the same when institutes develop to products and technology, as Francisco was saying, to go to a final uptaker, and we don't evolve them. It's a risk that is there. So we have also to think in innovation in a circular, or at least not in a linear way, in order to put our eggs in the right basket. So I would say that's sorry that the reflection, but I was hearing and I was like, we're always in the same page. So we have here, and also just to add that I also see as big challenges, Francisco was saying, same the consumer, not only consumer behavior, change of behaviors, and that's also institutional. And for instance, in municipalities working in silos, because Francisco knows this very well. So Guimarães is an excellent example of how to promote this ecosystem and this align commitments and align work. But actually, that's one of the biggest challenges in all of the areas of climate action. I would say that's people are working in silos and people are not changing their culture. They are not changing their behavior. And I would say these are really the biggest challenges and barriers, or I prefer to see it as challenge more than barriers, because we have to be positive about this. But then going into your question, I would say that I mean, most of the cities are service cities, and the biggest sectors where we have to focus our efforts, I would say, and that's more or less well known. It depends. Focus our efforts. It depends what are our goals. So if we look at reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, we have a hierarchy of sectors. If we're looking at reducing material consumption, we have another hierarchy. And if we look at job creation, we have another hierarchy. So it's not always the same, but I would say that we have strong challenges in the built environment, that's for sure. We have strong challenges in mobility, and we have strong challenges also in the food systems. And these are, of course, textiles and consumer products. These are all very important, but these are identified as those that have the highest impacts in these three areas I told you about before. So we have been seeing some work done by cities. There are kind of piloting approaches to how to reduce, for instance, embodied emissions in the built environment, how to capture carbon in the built environment, which is also a field of action. And what we see that work is being done in several cities, for instance, to create materials libraries and materials libraries, I would say so. So spaces where we can, make available materials that are recovered from, for instance, demolitions, from refurbishments, and how can we make this available and give them a second life. So a lot of cities are pursuing this type of libraries and this type of spaces for reuse, but there also, and I would say that's also a problem more of standardization and regulation that has to do how to then, certify these products in order to be used, for instance, in construction. That's a real problem, because we cannot bypass all the legislation and everything that's there for the use of these products. But as the first step, there's a lot of work being done in this type of libraries. Also very, very interesting, the work that's been done on food systems. And for instance, municipalities are working to see whether or not they can introduce better food systems in schools. And this is also a very interesting, there are very different examples of this. Both by having a better or more balanced diet being provided to the kids in schools, but also by procuring better and procuring, for instance, with a proximity criteria. So having these short chains of supply, short distance chains of supply, which is also something that municipalities are looking in different ways. Also there, we have some big challenges. First of all, how to, accompany these contracts in order to be sure that the criteria that has been set in public procurement are being fulfilled. This is really, really difficult to achieve. So my point is we have a lot of different good examples of how these are being tackled, but still we have then to move forward and to understand how these good examples can really be effective. Because otherwise they will just be, experiments that don't scale up. And this is, it's not it's a message that's not I'm not saying we are doomed. I'm just saying that we have to go this way, but also look at how to transform this in real impactful actions.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. I think that this transition from innovation to a practical application is very important. But I think today at the conference we've seen many examples of that, and we've seen some of the works that were presented. They already had involvement from either public institutions, from municipalities, or from companies. We've seen pilot examples. And as a researcher myself, I think most, at least from my experience here in Portugal, the innovation now is being developed. At least we are trying to do it as much as possible, considering, and also as Francisco mentioned, considering all intervenients in the circle, all the pieces of the puzzle, because then that's exactly why those systems fail. If we don't look at the big picture and we just focus on our tiny little bubble, if we look at the bigger picture, it makes it much easier, actually. While it may seem complex, I think at the same time it makes it easier. And I think here at the conference, we've seen good examples of that, actually. And I actually now bridging this roundtable with the conference, and of course with all of your previous experience, we heard today solutions that went from biosurfactants, from valorization of algae. We listened to talks about textile circular design, construction materials, and coagulants for water treatment, bioabsorbents from vegetable wastes. So many innovative solutions. And so I would like to, and this is open to all of you, which of these, either from the ones that were presented here or from ones that you personally know, which you think are the most promising for application in the future? What do you think it's really the most exciting for you out of these innovations, either from the ones that were presented here or ones that you personally know?
Perhaps a general comment about that part of the solutions and the technologies and the products that are already showing the possibilities of circular economy. What I may say about that is what I feel is that some of the examples are just, I will say, authorship examples. So the impact they have is quite low because we don't have a systematic approach for this topic. We need a systematic approach to think how to implement this as a model of development, of creating value, creating economy. That's why we call it circular economy. And what we feel is we have very good examples. We also have very good solutions, products, technologies that are already in the market and with great success. But without this systematic approach, I don't feel, well, it will take too long to have very impacting results on the economy and on the society. Sadly, I haven't been in the first part of the conference, so I cannot comment on the solutions that have been presented before. But some of the things we've been doing, just as examples as well. So we developed, and the new company has been created based on this, on the valorization of mineral waste. I don't know if you are aware about this, but for instance, the extraction of slate is producing 80% of waste. Just 20% of the extraction is used for building and other applications. So, and we developed a solution to use those 80% of waste of materials with good qualities, with good properties, but to be used in a completely different way and processed in a different way. This led to the creation of a new company that is now selling, having these products in the market and having this solution as a competitive solution in the market. So what I'm trying to say with this example, we have an approach, a systematic approach. So to look at the possibility to bring science and technology, and it might not be a very high developed science or the most important achievements in terms of scientific aspect, but from the technological point of view is also always, I will say always needed to have some tuning, to have some developments in order to have these new solutions, and then new companies, new business models, new ways of looking at the consumers, new ways of integrating science, technology, municipalities, and so on, to have a solution and a new company in the market. So without this systematic approach, I don't see it. The future will be very bright. Let's say like this. So just a contribution for this part.
Yes.
Daniela, can I just add something it came to my mind that it's very important when Professor Raul was just talking. When we're talking about the private sector and the companies, it's one of the way of looking for circular economy and how we can apply that. It's just like breaking down our model and see where in which part of this model I can apply circular economy strategies. This is a work that has been done. It requires a lot of research and participation from the academia and from the private sectors. We need here to have this synergy that we talked on the first question. We need to be very close to break down the model, see where we can apply these strategies, because in the end, we are talking about efficiency as well. When we break the model, the economic model, and we see that we have the industry, they produce, they have industry waste, then they have the product that they put in the market, we just buy that, and in the end, we just throw it away, something, the waste from that product, and then it's on the municipality, the responsible to collect and reinsert this to the process. We need to break down everything and understand the role of each part in this process. Okay, and then we need to do the same methodology in each part, in the industry, in this process of the consumer side and what we call the consumer experience, because here consumers, they play a very important role because they will need they need to be more close to the company. This relation needs to be more close, because if we need to repair, if we need to change some equipment, we need to have this connection to the industry and need to be more easy than simply throwing away and buying another one. Okay. And then we need to go for the government side when we establish the policies, when we establish the process to collect and redirect this materials to be reused someone else for the other industries. So my point is just in terms of methodology, breaking down the responsibilities of each model, economic model, and see where we can apply this strategy. It's something that it's possible. It's a way to insert circular economy in the core problem, in the center of the problem, and then replicate this and see how can we tackle down those problems inside each part of the supply or the process or the consumer process. And I think this is a good way of looking as a solution for this specific problem.
Thank you. I would like to, if anyone in the audience has any questions, you can either raise your hand and turn on your microphone and ask, or you can also put them in the chat if you have any questions for this round table. So while people are thinking, I would just like to ask another question. And what do you think is currently driving the innovation and the application of circular economy? Are we doing this out of genuine conviction, or is just are we doing this as a regulatory obligation? Again, I think any of you are perfectly able to answer this question. It's challenging.
Yes. Well, maybe I can just talk a little bit about and in the case of, I mean, it's of course always a little bit of both, but I mean, in the case of Guimarães is trying to be proactive in that way, looking to the, to what we want to achieve as a city, to be that long-term vision that the city has to be a one planet city by 2050, knowing what that means in terms of resource consumption. And to achieve that, we need to work systematically in some different sectors, piloting some, as Maria João was mentioning, and this is a very important role of municipalities. This pilot testing in the territories with the community, with this connection with the consumer, as Raul was mentioning. So we have citizens that can be, so we can work with citizens to test some models. Guimarães has been doing that, for example, with the waste collection, with the pay as you throw system, with the save as you recycle system that is trying to bring money back to people that are to the ones that are contributing to the bio-waste collection. And of course, these are piloting models, but that they already include the systematic approach that both Raul and Maria João were mentioning, that we need to try to, so this what we call the circular systemic solution. Guimarães, in the case of bio-waste, Guimarães did that under the initiative, the Circular Regions and Cities Initiative, to bring this circular systemic solution, trying to bring up schemes to collect the waste, trying to set up an ecosystem that could collect that waste in a door-to-door system and then transform that waste into valorization. In this case, through composting, but it could be through energy production, for example, or to other valorization pathways that now can be tested with the support of academia, as Raul mentioning. If you set up a scheme that is working and now you try to bring up some other valorization pathways that can then be applied, you already have an ecosystem. You are just trying to split up the waste to valorize that waste, trying to increase the performance or decrease your footprint, let's call it like that, in terms of what you are collecting from as a resource and now using it as much as you can. So I think cities can be proactive in that way too, and they can promote this kind of proactive actions and push citizens to do that as well. But also, companies can be proactive as well. If companies bring up really interesting solutions that can help us to see, oh, this is very this is smart, and we can easily apply that to our day-to-day basis, and then at the same time increase our performance in terms of environmental impacts, but also increase in terms of economic and social impacts. There are some small and big examples on how we can do it. So I think both ways cities are doing that. At least in Guimarães, we're trying to be a little bit more proactive as much as we can, trying to achieve our ultimate goals of climate neutrality by 2030 and being a one planet city.
Thank you, Francisco. We have a question in the chat from Nuno Costa. How do the municipal policies interfere in the scaling up of innovative solutions? Is it a make or break deal?
Well, I think Francisco and myself already gave some light on this question. Of course, that municipal policies can and should give an arena for scaling up. That's for sure. And for instance, what I mentioned at the beginning of this panel about these innovative public procurement instruments, these are requested in order for others to take up and to make it scale up. Okay, and also these examples that I gave you before, I think these are examples of how to then it's a starting point to move forward, to be allowing to scale up. So I think municipal policies have it's a make, not a break deal, I would say. But in any case, I would also just like to make a one point out of which of the innovation is more exciting. I don't think there's a better innovation than the other in a whole sense. And of course, there's so many sectors, and I totally align with what Raul said. We have to not to have a fragmented approach, because a fragmented approach is the worst way of spending money, to be honest. But also, I would like to recall a very traditional example of the innovation, the whole literature, bulk literature around it. It's the case of the videotapes. It's not necessarily the most exciting or the better technology that then it's establishing the market. And the very book example is the VHS and Betamax videotapes. I think Raul remembers this very well, because everybody said Betamax is the best technology, but at the end of the day, it was VHS that was on the market and stay there. So this is a message to say that, okay, could be exciting, could be the best, but could not be the winning one. And this is very important also. So in any case, I think we should follow a lot the recommendations of Raul. I think that's the base case, to be honest.
Thank you. Yes, that's
Thank you.
True. That is true. Since we are approaching the end, it's almost 1 o'clock, and I think everyone is getting hungry for lunch. I'm going to steal the question that Francisco put on the chat and use it as a closing question, because I think it's really interesting. What advice would you give to these young professionals? Because, as you know, this conference has been organized by the Smart Waste Young Professionals, so we are all young. We are all at the beginning of our careers, and so what advice would you give us working on circular economy so that their projects have a real impact in the world? So in a very short message, I would like to ask each one of you to comment on that.
I can go back to what I said. Don't assume you know what the market wants.
Wow, that's very important thing. Yes. But I was taking some notes, but perhaps some more technical, but this part of the market is very important, of course. But I believe we need some creativity in this area as well. Creativity and to be hardworking, of course, but that is basis for everything. But then perhaps in a more technical view, to look at markets or I would say sectors that have more impact, like high consumption, with high consumption like textiles or buildings or materials used in buildings or the solution is used in buildings or the packaging. I believe there are many opportunities there and with high impact. So it's just a matter of being creative and with a good business model and incorporating good technological part as well.
Thank you. Gabriel, would you, or Francisco?
Well, my final message is there's no waste word, so we should exclude this word from our dictionary in our lives. So be creative and try to find a way to reinsert these materials to the loop. And that demands a lot of creativity, as Raul said, a lot of innovations, a lot of changing in the mindset, in the economics process. It's a challenge, but I think it's possible. Okay, in the end, we're just wasting materials, we're just wasting time, not recollecting and reinserting these materials into the loop. Okay, it makes no sense. Okay, so just let's do it together and try to change this just reality, which is the next challenge for this new generation.
And Francisco?
Well, I got most difficult job because all of the other speakers just mentioned things that are very important. Maria João, it looks like an acceleration program to companies like here your market, here your end users. Raul's bringing this research part and the creativity, the innovation part, and Gabriel also, raising the momentum about the moment that we are right now. So there's no option other than being more smarter in the way that we are looking to the way that we consume resources and try to bring them up. So I think trying to bring up a personal perspective here is yes. So try to hear everyone while looking to circular perspectives, hear everyone in a circular way. So all of us try to stress that as much as we could. So we need to be more systematic and less linear, and in some of the methodologies and processes that we've been implementing through time. So try to work from the end users to the policymakers to the ones that can contribute to this more circular approaches, and also try to think about yourselves as individuals that can contribute to this behavior, consumer behavior as well. So try to see in your daily basis how can you individually understand that a circular solution is really circular because you look to that as an added value as well, and you're applying that in your day-to-day work, and keep trying to connect the dots in everyone that can be part of this circular transition for both for both local perspectives and national perspectives, and keep doing that because I think there's a lot of opportunities. We've been working there's a good momentum, I think, at the national level. So let's try to be positive as well. So Portugal we've been working in Portugal a lot to do that. And it's good to see that our young professionals that are very dedicated to that and looking to build something for the future that is a little bit different of what we've been doing in the past few decades and centuries. So I'm also starting to be a little bit more positive about the future myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Francisco. I think it's true that, and it makes me very happy to hear those words. And I think this conference is a great example of that, how people are working on that, and how we, as I mentioned, it looks at the start we're talking a lot about the challenges and it looks a little bit dark, but I think there's also these challenges can be turned into opportunities, and yet I think we are doing that, at least in Portugal, and we saw today so many good examples of that. I would like to finish the session by thanking you all for your intervention. It was great. I learned a lot from these. hopefully can. I know that we left so much out, but in 1 hour, it's quite a short time to discuss everything and all the things that we would like to. But I think it was really, really interesting. So thank you all. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone that was here listening to us as well. I would just like to ask everyone to turn on the cameras because we would like to take a print screen as a memory of this morning. So if everyone here could turn on their cameras, if that's possible, thank you. And I think Francisco will now take a print screen. And I will pass the word to Francisco so we can wrap up this amazing conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. I promise not to take a long time because we all want to have lunch. I would just like to reinforce the appreciation that we have as a network to all of you that have been here today. Indeed, we must always think that the small work and the small task of each of us, when all together we can create incredible initiatives, and this is one of them. So I want to really thank the team for every work that was done and all of the effort that was done, and also to invite those who are here to also be part of the Smart Waste Young Professionals network. We are a voluntary network, and I know that you that are here, you are people that worry about this. You are people that you have your careers and your personal and also professional goals in the right track. And we want to raise all of our voices and all of our experience and all of our values to actually make an impact together. That is the goal of our network. That is the goal of our swipers.